everyone. My name is Taliesin.
And I'm Evitel.
And welcome to a WoW podcast. Obviously, episode number...
32!
It is episode number 32. Welcome!
Hi,
Welcome to the
hi.
podcast. And I think it's fair to call this podcast the morning after the night before.
Oh.
There is still the detritus on this desk here and on yours of last night's big announcement stream for, wow, the Warcraft Direct, the entire future of World of Warcraft. Look,
Yeah,
I've got a
pretty much
champagne, which we managed to drink some of, and also managed to empty quite a bit of all over ourselves.
Yeah, I've got loads of it on my desk still.
I felt like I was in like a hip hop video from the 90s, just like pouring the bubbly all down your bit.
Yeah.
It was fantastic, and you were loving it.
Yeah, you can see on my face and the reaction. I loved it.
You love it on your face. So of course today we are going to be talking about the Warcraft Direct. We're going to be talking about the new 2025 roadmap and everything that's going to come for WoW. We're going to be taking super chats from you. If anyone wants to like ask us anything specific or want us to talk about anything specific, whack it in the super chats and we'll come to those at the end of the show.
Yes,
and also,
please do.
if anyone's got any questions that they would love to ask any game developers, I don't know how we'd ever pass those questions on. But
Entirely hypothetical.
you never know, do you?
Exactly,
Sometimes
entirely
we see them at the bus
hypothetical.
stop or whatever, or anything.
So think about this chat. Let us know if you have any burning questions about what you saw last night and the future of WoW. If we're ever to speak to anyone on the dev team, if possible.
Like maybe we'll get a letter or something like that, or
like a message in a bottle.
Yeah,
so we
something
can
like
send
that.
out,
Who
maybe look
even
for an answer.
knows?
Let us know. Let us know your question.
But that's what we're going to be talking about today, obviously, and you might be able to tell by the title of this podcast that I'm pretty excited about it, Evie. In fact, for those of you watching the live recording and the VOD, and maybe you'll be able to hear it if you're listening on your podcast platforms as well, I'm going to do my welcome home player housing, yay, hooray, victory dance.
Oh. I'm so sorry for those of you who cannot see this, but I will try to audio transcribe. Tally is wiggling his body in a bizarre, ungainly fashion, which I believe is supposed to constitute dancing. He's touching his nip. He's touching his nips. That's how he ended. He touched his nips. Okay, it's over. Thank God.
I'm spent. I'm destroyed. I am absolutely devastated.
Well done. You should have gone to the gym this morning like I did.
Almost as much. I should have done like you did. You were going to the gym to work off that excitement.
I genuinely.
You were like, let's go, player housing.
I was
housing.
on the treadmill and I was like scrolling through social media and like laughing to myself gleefully. And everyone was like, what is she on?
Get that. Maybe you can get that in your player house. Maybe you can get some gym equipment in your player house. Who even knows?
And then I won't actually have to go to the real gym.
Who knows? We have so many questions about player housing, but the important thing is it's happening. It's like genuinely happening. It looks, and obviously we'll go over this, but it looks in the 2025 roadmap that it will be coming this year. It's officially a feature of the Midnight expansion, which isn't coming this year.
No.
We got an announcement for that coming in the autumn of 2025. But there's just a sneaky little suspicion.
Well, it's
on that
there.
roadmap that
it's
maybe it'll be coming before that,
like
as
a
feature.
pre-patch.
Seems maybe not even a pre-patch. Maybe just like yo, have this.
Literally one day we wake up and it's
take
there.
it. Just have it. Look, I'm excited. All right, this is like a seminal moment. Now you went to bed last night after we finished our podcast yesterday. We came down. We relieved my parents of their babysitting duties.
Yes, we did.
Because we were both up here getting drunk and watching the TV.
Excuse me, I had a tiny flute of champagne and most of it ended up on my hair and blankie and face.
Yeah. And
we relieved them.
so we relieved them, much as I relieved the champagne over your face. And they went and we sat down and watched a couple of episodes of Lost. That was nice, wasn't it? And then you went up to bed and I literally said, I am right behind you. my plan was to follow you up the stairs and, you know, touch your bum on the way up the stairs. While I take advantage of like the height difference at that point. You know, you take every opportunity you can, don't you, to show your wife that you love her and touch her bum. That's what you do. That's the basis, in my opinion, of a healthy marriage. Lots of bum touching. You'll be fine. That's my advice to you, kids. But I didn't do that. Instead, I sat on the sofa and I literally pretty much just watched the announcement over and over again. Sometimes I watched it with our reaction on it. Sometimes I watched it with other people's reactions on it. Sometimes I just watched that shit straight, and it was magical every time. And I swear, it feels like, I'd be really interested to hear your opinions in the live chat here, but it feels like one of those seminal moments in WoW. You know, it was magical, it was iconic, you know, it was delivered by Ian, and Ian is good at delivering that kind of stuff. I don't care what anyone says. My mind always goes back to the big Legion announcements. I think it was just before Legion launched. They were at Gamescom or something. And Ian came out and he had a little change of costume after one of the announcements for Karazhan.
Was it one of the bowling shirts?
Well, no. He was wearing a Legion bowling shirt, and then he did a little costume change into like a patch t-shirt. And then, you know, he when he came out for that, he just had like this little smirk on his face, like this little, because he knew he was about to deliver an absolute banger. You know, it was like he was Quincy Jones. And wait, no, he was Quincy. Who's the lawyer?
Where?
Anyway, on the TV show.
What show?
It's named after him, so I don't know unless you tell me the name. I think it's Quincy Jones, right? And he knew he had the perfect question, and this guy was absolutely like, you know, and you know, when you're leading someone into a kind of a trap in a courtroom duel, right? And he had that little smirk on his face. And you know, when they started showing bits from 7.2 and then Argus in the Sky and stuff like that, and say, you know, we're going to Argus, like he's great at that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you know, when he just said, like, oh yeah, and there is one last thing. Speaking of home, he said.
How dare he.
You know, we were winding down. I was getting ready to kind of just start chatting about, you know, okay, we didn't get to hear loads about what's coming, but still, what a great stream and stuff like that. It's been really fun. And, but no, he says the word home, and your ears just perk up, don't they? They just go, boom. He said the thing. He said the word. Surely not. Yeah, doing an absolute Columbo. That's right. Just one last thing. My wife is waiting for me at home. And what was your reaction in that moment, Evie?
Oh, it's much like yours. You know, my jaw dropped, and it was so weird because we've all wanted it. We've all wanted it for so long that it didn't feel like it could happen, but when it did, it felt so right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it felt so right. And I was like, this is exactly what we need. In lieu of an actual BlizzCon, you know, because they were hyping up Warcraft Direct as this, you know, this is this huge celebration. Everyone be there. We all have to... Everyone be there for sure. You don't want to miss this one. But let's get together. Let's celebrate what makes Warcraft great and amazing and wonderful. And doing that on an online platform, you're like, okay, fine. Like, I remember COVID times. I remember when guys, remember BlizzConline? I don't. And, right? And so I was like, so like, what's going to happen? So having this really, it kind of filled that BlizzCon shaped hole in me.
And I know how you love that hole, Phil.
Yeah, that one in particular. And when he said the word home, it was obvious what he was going to do. And we were like, dang, you are so ballsy. And
it was obvious. And you know what? That is one thing I am like so grateful for and happy about. They did not dick around. There was no real tease.
Exactly.
It was obvious what it was from the very second. Like just announcing it, just it being a thing was enough, you know? And like that's the big enough like kind of dramatic moment. You don't need to like get all Who Wants to Be a Millionaire about it, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to like
no, exactly.
You know, you don't need to get all like America's Top Model about it. You just like chuck it out there. Everyone knows what it is straight away. You get all those excellent reactions. Although, have to say, watching some streamers, their reaction was not exactly on the money. Like it took a while for it to sink in for quite a few people. You might be surprised to learn. Do you think that's just disbelief that it could possibly be happening?
It could be disbelief, and I think we've been doing this for so long, and we've been lucky enough to be able to kind of interact with Ian, with Holly, with other devs. There's an element of that where, like you said before during the stream, like you really trust them now. Like there's an element of trust that's had to been built up again after kind of a wibble wobble during the Shadowlands era.
The jelly on the plate era.
Yeah, just like whoop, 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 whoop. Yeah, definitely. The jelly was like sliding off the plate into the bin, and everyone's like, "Oh no, I'm gonna miss that jelly." But anyway, it's okay. It's stable. It's stable. So there's an element of that. And then also, like this bit of trust. Like we've seen roadmaps and we've seen content delivered. We've seen kind of bugs appear in game, and then devs react to it really quickly. We've seen player feedback, which actually has been listened to. So I think because we had this kind of element of trust, I was like, he says the word home, he's not messing us around.
Yeah,
this is what we're gonna get.
Plus, he had his sneaky little smirk, and I know
He
that sneaky
did,
little
he
smirk.
did,
I
he
knew.
did.
I knew. And can I just say also? And by the way, if I hadn't liked these announcements, I'd be saying nasty things about this. But it was a good announcement, so I'm saying good things about it. Ian's beard looks amazing.
Oh, just
isn't it brilliant?
very neat and full and lovely.
We saw him at Gamescom, and in the flesh, lucky us. And his beard was just like unshaven at that point, and it looked good, man.
Oh,
he looked like he could be in a cigarette advert from the 80s. Like he was that cool. And now it's like a proper Anduin thing going on.
Yeah.
Like fair dues. Like he's like the elder statesman we are going into his beard era.
Yeah, we are.
And I'm here for it because it coincides with a good era in WoW. We're going to have like I think that's maybe why he held off growing it at first. He was like, I want to see people's reaction to this era of WoW before I grow my beard, because I want people to have like a nice associations with my beard. I don't want he couldn't have grown it in Shadowlands, because then everyone would associate with Shadowlands and the game wouldn't have been able to move on until he shaved. We wouldn't have been able to do it. But now we associate his beard with the hair, with the game being good, right? And that's very clever of him, because then even when the game goes bad, as long as he keeps his beard, there'll be something in our brains which is activating and going, well, I think the game's bad right now, but I look at Ian and something tells me I just feel comforted. I'm remembering better times.
And actually, kind of related to this, before I forget it, I think that WoW and the Warcraft team in general, and with Holly at the helm, like leading the charge, it feels really good. And I feel like they really, and this also comes down to the devs and the game directors and everything, and also the marketing team and the way they've been framing and presenting WoW. Right, like there's the Guardian article that just came out.
Oh, I read that.
Oh yeah, did you see yourself in there?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I got quoted in the Guardian.
Looking at a Warcraft kind of 20 years, 30 years, right, of this game and this kind of IP's existence, being as this kind of phenomenal achievement. This, the documentary about Evelyn coming out, if you haven't seen it already, is incredible. Also, just thinking of WoW, seeing Holly talking about everyone's personal stories, seeing all the devs talking about their personal stories. I know we always get this at BlizzCon, but this year it really hit home for me. No, it did. It really did, because there's been this big push towards thinking about WoW as this social space. WoW is this community. WoW is this world where anyone can be part of it and find their friends, find their family in it, and they've really embraced that, and it's really rung true for me recently. I believe it. I think people in general are looking for community. They're looking for a place that belongs to them, a home, as it were. So it all fits together so neatly. And I think that's part of why we're all really excited about it. Also, it's just going to be awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And that feeling of like, you can be anything you want in WoW, and you can be a homeowner. How cool is that?
Yeah.
I'm like in real life. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy up all the real estate in WoW.
You get your first home.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you look like a Zoomer. You ain't no home for you. You're renting. You're renting my squalid, ghetto pad. Sorry.
No.
Like,
No. There's no housing market in WoW. There's
well, we don't know how it's going to
just
work yet.
homes. No,
Can
we
you
don't
imagine?
actually.
Can you imagine if,
No,
like,
no.
we'll be learning about it more in
Don't
the
even
months
taint it,
coming up.
Tally.
And can you imagine if Ian comes on out? He's like, yeah, there will be 6 homes available. I was like, first come, first served.
Yeah. No, absolutely
We're not going to
No.
do that.
We're not gonna do that.
But I do completely agree with you about Holly Longsdale. Like, what a legend she is. I've said this many times. Like, she is the ace up Blizzard's sleeve when it comes to just like making people feel good about the game again, making people feel like the game is in safe hands again. And I think Ian is a big part of that as well.
Absolutely.
And I feel like, Holly, what a testament to Holly. Holly is so good that we're seeing the best of Ian now as well, which I think is fantastic. And it makes you wonder, like, what kind of restrictions he was working under sort of previously. And,
Absolutely. They make
we
a
can
great
guess,
team.
right? Because they've kind of said a few times.
Yeah.
And like, that idea that Ian just feels so much more chill than he used to. He just seems like much happier than he used to. I feel like he's got a lot more freedom and control over the stuff he cares about.
Yes.
And maybe a little less over the stuff he doesn't care so much about, which is in itself a really freeing thing. And I've always felt like the game was in pretty safe hands in Ian's hands, but I feel like Holly is the perfect kind of foil to him because, she is very emotional and evocative and, talks very passionately in a way that, like, Ian's passion is a different kind of passion.
Yes.
And then you got Chris Metzen doing his wrestling thing, like in a corner as well. And like, it's just like the perfect triumvirate at the moment. I think it's really, really great. But Holly is exquisite. She's wonderful. And every time I see her, I just feel happy, basically.
Me too.
Me
too.
Yeah. She doesn't need to grow a beard to like, she's fine. Although, like, I wouldn't say no. Like, go whatever you like, Holly, go wild. But it's just like wonderful having them involved in the game, and it's so easy to feel good about WoW right now, which is like hasn't been the case since early BFA really for me.
Yeah. It's true. It's true.
But so exciting. We've got loads of questions about player housing, and we'll maybe come back to that in a little bit, and a kind of a wish list for things that we want to see in player housing. I think that might be good. But what I'd really like to do is I'd like to just go through the other aspects of the direct. Maybe like the direct as a whole, and then get to specifically for WoW the 2025 roadmap, which thank goodness we have. Isn't that brilliant? I didn't think there was any danger that we wouldn't have a 2025 roadmap, but it's there and it's kind of got everything that we really wanted on it. So that's pretty cool. And all the stuff about the new patch and beyond, and we're going to go through that with a fine-tooth comb. So if you were on stream with us yesterday on Twitch, you get to see us react to this stuff live. You get to hear us like riff about it now in the morning after the night before, and then you're going to see us talk about it again in the weekly reset on the weekends. So I hope you like us.
I hope you like
WoW, right?
Good news.
Yeah.
I hope you like great WoW news. Are you kidding me?
It's such great WoW news, though.
It feels good.
It just feels like I'm just so happy about it all, honestly. But I do also have some questions and concerns and reservations as well.
Fair.
So the direct itself. There was news about a variety of different games as we were expecting, but it was also meant to be a celebration of Warcraft and World of Warcraft. And as it started, like in the pre-show, right, they had devs talking about their experiences of WoW, which is always nice, and apparently you have to be like stunningly attractive
extremely
to work for
good
Blizz these
looking.
days.
I know.
Is that just because we're
like,
old and they're normal age?
Yes. No, but also everyone was like very good looking.
Yeah. And exquisitely lit as well, which we could take a page out of their book for that. And then we had the kind of so much plinky plonky music as expected. I've never heard so much plinky plonky music in my entire life. And that kind of image of Warcraft, like pretty much the opening mission from Warcraft 1, sending some orcs like clicking around and stuff. And sort of various creators, I think it was, reminiscing about it. Do you think it worked because you mentioned it was like it filled your BlizzCon shaped hole.
It did.
And I mean, one thing when I think about one thing that makes me a bit sad, honestly,
Okay, tell me.
is like I was talking about how seminal and iconic the player housing announcement was, and it will go down in WoW history. That announcement, like it will be a thing.
Absolutely.
Like people will remember it forever, and it still feels weird to talk about even now. Like it genuinely feels weird to talk about player housing in WoW now. It's like literally there on the table, and it's so wild. But I can't help but think, like, how amazing would it have been to have that announcement at BlizzCon?
Oh, I know.
Like,
I know.
Imagine sitting there in Hall A or whatever. Imagine Ian being on stage in front of 40,000 people. Imagine the shit that would have been lost.
Yeah.
Imagine
him saying the line about
Imagine
home
that.
and everyone absolutely losing
like
it.
the biggest reaction I can remember in BlizzCon, from being in BlizzCon, and we've been going since 2017.
Gosh.
Yeah, I know. Don't. We've been going since 2017, and you know, like the biggest reaction I've ever heard was in that first BlizzCon that we went to when they announced BFA and the BFA cinematic.
Oh, the BFA cinematic.
Yeah.
Watching that in the hall live with everyone was like unparalleled.
And people talk about like the reaction to WoW Classic, because that got announced there as well. And the announcement to WoW Classic was huge. It was massive. But you've got to bear in mind that the BFA cinematic came after the announcement for WoW Classic. So people were still really hyped about that. And then they had the BFA cinematic, which was mind-blowing.
And it is still so good.
So people were already on a high from the announcement of WoW Classic, and then BFA. And, you know, like when Sylvanas did like For the Horde, and at the end of the cinematic as well, I've never seen anything like it. People were like up and on their feet, people were on their chairs, people were whooping and shit. Like, and 40,000, it was like being in a football match.
It's that bit
insane.
From Avatar: The Last Airbender where like when Aang comes and like there's that little guy like foaming at the mouth.
Yeah,
like,
except there were 40,000 of that little guy. It was
Yeah.
incredible. It was like, and you know, like that was some shit getting absolutely lost, man. It was wild.
Oh, I will never forget that.
Oh my God. And like, I feel like it could have been a reaction on a part of that, maybe even more, honestly, if we like, and you know, Ian deserves to be able to make that announcement in front of 40,000 people. He deserves that love, like all the devs do. And that's something which has been really funny as well. Like, we're on Twitter, but not so much anymore. Like Blue Sky is really where you want to go, and Insta if you want to follow us. And we're going to try using the YouTube community tab a little bit more as well, so you can keep up to date with us there. But really it's Insta with a bit of Blue Sky as well, if you want to follow us kind of socially. But like, you can tell from WoW Dev Twitter, social media, what a relief it was for them to get that news out. I've heard, you know, some devs saying that they've been working on it for the last 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
But I think it's been longer than that, because I will never forget, and I will always go on about this, the 8.2 summit at Blizz. Do you remember that? And what was that, 2018?
That sounds about right.
I feel like that was 2018, and we got invited to that summit, and we were there with a bunch of other creators, and they took us into like the cinema viewing room to see the BFA trailer again. It was just great. And then we had a little chat with Ian, and I remember I was feeling a bit cheeky, and I thought, why not? When am I ever going to get a chance to talk to Ian again? Little did I know. And I was like, dude, player housing, is it something that is like ever going to happen? Is it something you want to happen? Is it something you intend, like no matter like the roadblocks and stuff now, is it something that you want to happen? And that motherfucker looked me right in the eye. He didn't flinch. He didn't blink. He looked at me right in the eye, and he was like, yes, that's something we're working on. And I was like, ooh, and that was
Put that one away for a rainy
2018,
day.
motherfucker. And I always come back to that, and I always say, like, so I don't know what level they were working on it at that
It
point.
could have
and-
just been an idea. It could have just been a conversation, like in the room. But there was an intention there.
Yeah.
Right?
But, you know, at the very least, this particular iteration of player housing that we're getting in Midnight is something that at least some of the devs currently at the company have been actively working on for the last 3 years and keeping a secret for the last 3 years, which I mean, that's not surprising, I guess, but, you know, they got another year to sort it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, those devs deserve the kind of in-person love and adoration for stuff
really
like that as well, because I feel like BlizzCon, you know, it's really good for us as creators. It's really good for people who just like the game and want to hang out, but it's really good for all of us to be around other people that just like the game, away from the kind of toxicity that comes in the larger internet and stuff like that, which is fine, it's understandable. It's nice to have just like the nice stuff sometimes as well.
Yeah, and it's good to just remember that everyone like working on that game is a person. All of the people who play that game, they're people. Like, and when you're all there together in a room, like there's no hatred, there's no like nitpicking. There's just like,
oh, unless Mr. GM's there, like oh man.
No, we love you, Mr. G.
I'm joking. I'm joshing. I wouldn't joke about someone I didn't like.
Exactly. That's how it works.
That's
here
how
in the
British
UK.
human works.
That's how it works in the UK. It took me a long time to figure that out. Like people will rip
Like, why is
into
Tally
you.
always slacking me off? I thought he liked me.
It's like people won't rip into you unless they actually love you. So it's you know, wrap your head around that one. But yeah, and it's always such a tonic. Every year BlizzCon is such a tonic because you're like, I just was in a room with like 40,000 other people who just love video games and the type of flavor of video game that I like, and some of those people even love like a particular character or quest or one thing that I also love. And we were all in it together and we had a great time. Sometimes Muse plays and it's awesome. Like sometimes it's, you know, and just like bumping into people, saying hello. It creates such a good atmosphere. Yeah, both for players and for devs and for the people who make the game. So,
well, I think particularly for devs, and I think
I
like,
feel
you know,
for them.
we get to enjoy the game with our guilds and stuff like that. But for devs, like I feel like a live BlizzCon and an in-person BlizzCon is so important for like the recharging of their batteries.
Yes.
And you know, I think being a WoW dev can be really taxing because you're working for Blizzard and they suck. Like you're working for Microsoft, they fucking blow. But you know, like a lot of what you see online is people complaining. Like even creators and stuff that you like because they're usually seen as being quite enthusiastic about the game and stuff. Even will come out and will be like, you know, where's the content? You know, here's our wish list. I bet that content creators doing wish lists is like a dev's least favorite thing in the entire world.
Yeah,
like I bet they'd rather be doxxed than see a creator do a wish list.
like,
I
what
bet
do
if I
you
was
want
a dev, I'd be like, oh, another fucking wish list. No, sorry, get lost. We've got stuff we're working on, right? And like, you know, yeah. So I feel that it must be really, really hard. You must feel like kind of everything's against you as a dev sometimes.
Absolutely.
And, you know, you're working on stuff you're working on stuff which you know people would be excited about. You can't even say anything, right? So how hard must that be? And like, yeah, exactly. And I feel like that in-person thing, like being there in that crowd when they react to something like player housing, I think is really important and probably helps them get through the next year.
Absolutely.
Really. And yeah. So I'm sorry that they weren't able to have that moment, but it makes you want, like people are saying, well, why are they announcing player housing so early on, like a year out? And there's a number of reasons for that. One, it's just cool, and if you're in a position where you feel confident announcing it, you announce that shit because that's legit. People are like. Because also it puts the idea of the next expansion in people's minds as well, which I think is really good and really healthy, because it's the idea of like it's coming sort of thing.
Absolutely.
I think there's never too soon to do that. And you know, it's obviously a really hype thing, but also the idea that the Warcraft Direct itself and the things we learned about the War Within and what's coming in the War Within was really good and like really nice, but there wasn't loads of it. There was no like deep dive. There was no kind of like devs sitting on a sofa talking about all the fun things that's going to be in it.
New
That's
mechanics.
exactly. Yeah, that's all going to come later. So, you know, there was no showstopper in that entire direct, really. And that was the showstopper. And it's just theater, man. I think, and it's good to have an element of theater, especially
Absolutely.
because this is in lieu of BlizzCon. Right?
And it was done, I thought it was done really well.
Yeah,
I
me
felt like
too.
the editing was really good. I thought the music was good. The delivery was good. Yeah, it just kind of captured that little like BlizzCon flavor that we were all missing.
But there's also that other thing of like, well, if they're announcing this now, what else have they got to announce for midnight later on, you know? And going through that Warcraft Direct, it has been pointed out that there is a screen that has been sent to us that is a building from Silvermoon being made,
Like
from
very,
new Silvermoon,
very obviously
yeah,
Silvermoon,
yeah,
yeah.
like, and that gets my juices flowing, man. That gets me very, very excited. I like War Within a lot. I'm actually like in a position where I think I'm going to like War Within even more come 11.1 because that shit looks right up my alley. But I've always thought like, as far as the World Soul Saga goes, Midnight is where it's at. Like even more so now, right, with the player housing thing. But I've like since that announcement, and I don't think I'm alone on this. You see Midnight and you go, that's the one. That's the expansion right there.
Well, and it kind of has to be if you're delivering well, they don't you know,
don't like it calling
it's
it a
not a
trilogy,
trilogy.
no.
It's not a trilogy. It's a trio of independent expansions.
It's a multi-expansion story arc.
It's a thank you, multi-expansion story arc. In whatever is in the middle of that multi-expansion story arc needs to avoid like bad sequel syndrome. You know, it needs to be it needs to avoid like, oh, it's part 2. Like you know what I mean. So it has to be good, and they obviously know that.
Definitely. And like it's got that thing, it's got everything, like it's got everything going for it, it's got like the strongest obvious theme of the 3 World Soul Saga things. It's very purple. The baddie is the Void. The Void are the best baddies. Okay, we're gonna have like our ultimate confrontation with the Void, so there are definite overtones of Legion to that as well, because like here is one of the main baddies from the last 20 years, and it is the ultimate battle against them, and that'll be it, sort of thing, with that baddie, like just like in Legion. And that was incredibly satisfying and incredibly fun in Legion, and I'm really up for it with Midnight as well. We're going to a beloved X-City, a beloved city, I should say, which is getting revamped, and people have been begging for the revamp of Silvermoon since literally Burning Crusade released, because it was like, yo, when are we flying, dudes? And I think that is going to be like such a cathartic, wonderful moment for so many players, is when that happens as well. And it's going to be stunning. That the new Silvermoon is going to be absolutely stunning. It's got potential to be like the best city ever in the game. Like the idea that so much is going to come together in this expansion. There's player housing there now as well. Part 2 of a trilogy is always the best part, objectively. Godfather 2, Empire Strikes Back,
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
No, it's not a trilogy. Look, technically, Temple of Doom is set before Lost Ark.
You're right.
So I'm actually going to call Lost Ark the second part in that trilogy, in which case, yes, checks out.
Okay, we'll discuss this later, but okay.
Exactly. So like it's Shrek 2. Yeah, the 2 towers. Exactly. It's all of these things. Like everyone knows that of a trilogy. Rocky 2, Aliens. Okay. Like
fine.
Terminator 2. Always the middle installment is always the best one. Like I'm pretty sure if you took the Harry Potter movies and like squished them all together and then separated it into 3, it would be the middle section, which was the best one as well. It's just like always the case, right? Home Alone 2. Again, that's more of a quintology these days, but it is what it is. Okay, maybe not Highlander 2, but I mean, you're talking with Highlander 2, right? That's like a legit just sequel. It's not part of a trilogy, really. So I'm talking about planned trilogies. Yeah, and Last Jedi as well. Objective facts. So there we go. It's decided, and that's the thing. So I just decided to like throw a bomb in there, but it is true. And so for me, Midnight has got and also it's got the coolest name and
Midnight.
the coolest logo.
So
and
good.
for me, it's just got everything.
One word expansions are just like,
man, like I just feel like the pieces are all there, you know, to make one of the best expansions of all time, if not the best expansion of all time. And I felt like that since the announcement, and it's like, oh God, I'm so excited by it. I like and this housing announcement has not quelled the last my excitement, to put it that way. Okay, but let's get onto this properly. So, do you think? Sorry, I was massively sidetracked there, talking about how sad it was that we weren't able to lift Ian across, like make him crowd surf, like Daenerys style, like kind of like a rock star and Jesus across like the crowd of BlizzCon, as we all just basically like suck him off and say thank you for the music in my house, right? But so this is instead of BlizzCon, right?
Yes.
Did it adequately do that as like a celebration of WoW? Was it enough? Did it work as a Warcraft Direct? Like, how did you come out of it feeling like?
I mean, I felt good. If we hadn't had the housing announcement, I would have been like, you know, like,
yeah,
but
what I mean is, sorry, aside from like the announcements, like the feel of as a celebration of WoW, and like as a celebration of the legacy of this game that is 30, you know, this franchise which is 30 years old, this game which is 20 years old.
It felt like a nice tribute, and I really liked that they did the recording of the concert afterwards, which we were there live for that one. Apparently someone in chat said they spotted us in the audience.
I spotted you in the audience.
Did you?
Yeah, I saw you and Flame, but then my head was being obscured by a fucking singer.
Oh.
Boo.
Yeah, so I'm glad they did that. It did feel like a celebration. Having the Twitch drops happening, that also felt quite nice. You know, being addressed by, again, Holly, Ian, all the big wigs felt nice. I think it's
was there enough plinky plonky music for you? Is that what you were missing? Did you just need some more plinky plonky music?
Yeah,
and people I mean it, WoW saved my life. I'm not even joking.
There's more than enough of that.
Oh, really?
But the thing is, I don't think you only can have that in small doses, and it has to be, the antidote is like sitting in a room full of people. You know what I mean? Like,
that's a good shout, actually.
You can't, because again, when they do that stuff, it kind of just takes me back to like COVID era, like, and you know, everything is online suddenly. Everything is like tugging at the heartstrings, and at some point you're kind of tired of that. And but that being said, I did really like this. I just think it's really, really hard to do like an adequate celebration that is purely online. Yeah, and I kind of was hoping for, and they'd hinted at this before, that there are going to be some IRL things happening, like IRL events happening around the world. So in my mind, I was like, oh, it's going to be like those New Year's Eve telecasts where it's like, and from Los Angeles, we've got, you know, the BlizzCon hype crew, and then like, and in London, gong, you know, like, you know, a whole bunch of...
Yeah, that'd be somewhat like a New Year's Eve thing. Yeah. Oh my God, like a worldwide New Year's Eve thing.
That's what I imagine in my mind when they're like, we're doing global events to celebrate Warcraft's anniversary.
And would be like, and now, live from New York, Ian drops the ball. Not for the first fucking time.
No, but then he catches it.
Of course, and now it's like
triumphantly above his head. And everyone's like, yeah, and I, it felt, yeah. So I think that's what I was expecting. You know, even if it was like, you know, 3 gaming bars, like one in the UK, like one in, you know, maybe Asia, like one in the US, or just kind of like looping up live events. That's what I was hoping for, to kind of try and capture that BlizzCon feeling, like even just watching people live enjoying themselves. I'm like, that would have done it for me. Yeah. So, you know, so in that sense, I just don't think you can replicate that with a purely online like That's video. Fair. It's a video cast.
Best moment of that entire kind of like recap and feeling good about WoW.
Yeah.
Definitely us. Definitely us sitting in this very room talking about. There's someone at the door. You keep talking.
Is that Big Ben chiming?
You might want to tell the story.
Is that Big Ben chiming?
Yeah.
That's live from London. We've got So you may have seen us pop up in the Warcraft Direct, which is this is such a joy. Because we sent that off, and when you do that, you're like, who knows what'll come of it. That little clip of Tally mentioning that when we were playing, and he got a whisper, and we were on Vexiona. And we'd done it a couple of times, and people were just wiping to the just her flying mechanic in like the worst way possible. And our raid leader was like, "Oh my god, like please stop dying to the thing. Like please stop dying to the flyover." And we started again. We did another run, and I died, and Tally was like, "Lol. Really? Again?" And I whispered him back, and I'm like, "My water's broke," which they had while I was just sitting in my gaming chair. Not this one, thank God. And then he's like, yeah, should we go to the hospital? And I was like, and I felt fine. Nothing was happening. I wasn't having contractions or anything. I was just leaking. And, and I was like,
I mean, that happens in Raid all the time. In fairness,
exactly.
like, bro, you're leaking.
Yeah, exactly. In one way or another. And I was like, no, I would like to do this boss, and I would like to not die. And we did it, and we got the boss down. And then I went off to like have a bath and just kind of see what was going on. And I think Tally finished raid, and then we went to the hospital, and then it all kicked off. But it was great to see us in there. Who's at the door?
It was a package from Zara.
Another one?
Yeah, 2 packages from Zara today now. Yeah. There you go.
Sorry, Tally.
Excitement.
Yeah.
Clothes for our daughter, I think.
Yeah.
Which is nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who was not the one who was on their way when we were killing Vexiona.
No, that was the first.
I was answering the door, so I don't know if Evie told the bit where she died to Vexiona.
Yes, I did. You don't have to rub it in.
Sometimes leaves that bit out, so I thought I'd get that in there
Tally.
and just like, yeah. I think it's an important part of the story that everyone needs to hear. So.
Yeah.
I was surprised. There was a part of me that thought maybe you wouldn't actually join us for the stream yesterday when we were watching it, because in the morning you had decided to do some Mythic Plus, and you got very angry with the game World of Warcraft that you were playing on your PC.
I just feel like I love that Mythic Plus exists, and if sometimes it just rubs me the wrong way, because I'm like, look, I'm sitting down at the computer. I've got an hour. I have a million other tasks to do and take care of. I have an hour of WoW time. And it's like, Tally, you want to help me do a key? Of course, pocket healer. Thank you. Love that.
That's what I'm here for, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah, I get
it. We started doing it, and then like one of our groups fell apart. Then we did another one, and it's just, I was doing the math in my head, and the enjoyment minus randos giving me aggro for like not bringing my bloodlust pet or whatever, like strangers giving you aggro, strangers like blaming other strangers when they in fact have messed up.
It was wild, because I don't do you didn't want to do a very high key. I was like, let's do at least an 8, so you're getting the
and I was like,
stuff.
no way, dude, like just
because I go in, I do my 8-10s every week to try and get my Mythic track gear. Got absolutely dicked this week, by the way. Got like the best thing in my entire vault track was like a ring that I didn't even need. So I was like, oh, cheers, mate. And I've got sockets and everything that I need sockets on as well. So I'm like, oh God. So I took the ring. I wish I hadn't. But so whatever. And you were like, no. Like I haven't done Mythic Plus for a while. Let's go into a lower one. Let's go into a 6, right? And so we went into a 6.
Keep it simple.
And I'd forgotten how hard 6s are, because people, they get so angry because they don't understand what's going on sometimes.
And then you get a mix.
There is a mix. That's the thing. And so we had a situation where like there was a it's so transparent. You got shit in 2 different dungeons from 2 different DPSs.
Yeah.
And in each case, it was so transparently that they were angry with something else, and they were just taking it out on you. It's like, we've got kids.
Yeah.
We know psychology.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was so obvious in the
like
first.
someone kept running, like someone kept being spotted by the guards and sent like in the gauntlet.
Okay, so we're in City of Echoes. We're running around, and this shaman got like webbed literally 3 times as we were running from like
we were
pack
just
to pack.
laughing about it. We're like, whatever.
And the first time it was funny, and then it happened like over and over again, and no one had talked to each other in this dungeon tour. No one said anything about this person
No
getting
one
webbed.
cares, right? Like,
and then he gave you shit.
I don't even remember
for something dumb, like not stacking on the tank.
Like I stepped out once.
Yeah, and I'm sorry,
tank.
like there were 4 people stacking in that +6 like icy thing on that like 2 boss fight, and like it was that tank like got 1 shot, and that shouldn't have happened. Like it was not your fault. And like, but this guy who'd been webbed 3 times up to that point was like, "Come on, Hunter, stack." It was like,
step up,
dude.
Hunter. Please. And so I was thinking, and it was like it was all fun.
The other one we were doing Necrotic Wake, and like someone went offline. A member of our group went offline.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, damn. Okay, they went offline, and shaman again. It was a shaman that went offline.
Yeah.
And then we were like, well, I guess that's that then.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, let's try. Let's try and carry on and do this boss. And we didn't do the boss. And no shit, because there's only 4 of us. And again, they were like, "Why? Where Bloodlust Hunter?" And it's like, dude, like we had a shaman.
Yeah,
I didn't like
you do it. Like,
yeah,
no, it's fine. It's yeah, and it's fine.
Like, again, just angry that someone had dropped out and we're taking it out on you.
Exactly.
And that's just like so dumb.
It was, and like that's fine. That's gonna happen. But like by that point, an hour had passed. Like my hour was up. And we finished, we did a key, and I didn't get any loot. I got a slot for my vault, which is fine. I got some crests. And then, at the end of it, I'm like, the equation, the math isn't mathing for me. Like, because the rewards and enjoyment and fun did not, like, it didn't come out in positive at the end.
Well, so
like,
you were already justifiably in a pretty bad mood, I think, because you were treated very harshly in those dungeons.
Oh, I don't care.
But you were already in a bad mood. But then you were like, I'm going to craft some gear. And I was like, how do I get this crest to upgrade my gear? And I had to talk you through this. And I was like, you have to go to the vendor. You have to buy a crest using. How do I buy the crest? I was like, well, you need a lot of crests, and then you buy it with the crests, and you're like, okay, I've done that. What do I do now?
But that's just me being grumpy.
And then I was like, well, now you have to like put a work order on. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, what do I tip? What do I tip for this? And I was like, I usually do 5K, and you're like, 5K?
I always tip 5K, but I have to tip. I have to get all the mats, and then I have to pay for that, and I have to tip for someone to make the crest, and then I have to tip for the actual item again. So it's like an absolute gold sink. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's all just goofy stuff.
Sorry, but I was basically like surprised that you came for the stream, but I mean, I think it put us all in a good mood though, so that's good.
Yeah.
So as far as like other announcements, before we just get to the roadmap, there was the Warcraft 1 and 2 remaster and Warcraft 3 remaster on top of that. Will you be playing that?
Absolutely, especially considering that we were just very kindly sent some battle chests. So
were we?
Yeah.
Who? Just is that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
And that's actually we'll have to play it now.
I was super excited.
Glad I didn't buy it this morning like I was going to.
I know exactly, but I was super excited when I heard about that because I was like, oh, dude, like I'm just gonna like play it. Like, can I play this in bed? Like, can I play it on my mobile? Yeah. Like, please. Like, can I just like sit around? Because like, can I'm really excited because I never played any of the Warcraft games, 1, 2, or 3, even when they did 3, and I was like, again, I was like, might just skip this one, wait for the remaster of the remaster. But it got me super excited. It looks really good, and I liked it in the context of this is a celebration of Warcraft. So we've done it all justice.
It just felt like so fitting, didn't it? And we got the the images from Warcraft 2 that got leaked as well. Like, and people were like, "Wow, Warcraft 2, brilliant!" I was like, "It's a bit weird to have Warcraft 2 and not Warcraft 1." So I'm sure it will be Warcraft 1 as well. I'm really glad it is. I'm looking forward to going it mostly just from a lore perspective. And I know a lot of the lore has changed since then, but that's half the fun as well. And I have played a bit of Warcraft 2. I've never played any Warcraft 1, so I really love that they've stayed very true to the original graphical style as well. And it really is just kind of like an HD up-res sort of thing.
Yeah, it's cool.
So that's exciting.
Are you going to play it?
Yeah, I really am actually, especially if like they're not as long as Warcraft 3 and they're not as involved as Warcraft 3. And, like, you know, it is much more of a kind of a fleet. And also like the HD kind of remaster of Warcraft 3, like the classic HD remaster graphics rather than the newer graphics, which have never really clicked with me. I don't like the new graphics in Reforged. But like if I can go to just HD classic graphics for it, I think I'd be well up for that.
I think it would be really nice. And like I didn't play Warcraft, but I did play Age of Empires, so this is gonna like press those buttons for me. It's gonna make me feel good.
I played Dawn of War.
Oh heck yeah!
It was like my big RTS that I played in drama school when I should have been doing like other things.
Yeah, although I just used Age of Empires to like create my own little scenarios and like role play, like a little little horse running around like nowhere and then like sending animals into
beautiful.
Awesome.
And then we got the classic announcements and Mop Classic. I feel like Mop Classic might be you might be the target audience of Mop. You have not been an audience for any of Classic so far, but I feel like this might be the one.
I think this is the one. And and I was saying kind of yesterday during the stream, I wasn't expecting my own reaction to be so strong to it, because Remix came out and I did a bit of Remix, and it was cool, it was fun, it went so fast, and even before it came out I was like, I really just want to experience the story of Pandaria again. Like I still really just want to like live through it again properly, not on my laptop and trackpad. And Remix was really cool, but it did not give, I think, a proper storytelling experience, because you're like boom, 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 boom. You don't have to do it. So if you don't have to, you're not going to do it. And even if you are, you're like overpowered really quickly, and you're gearing up fast. And so hearing about Pandaria Classic, on the one hand, I get to just experience the story again properly, like paced normally. I get to experience like the classes back then, which is going to be incredible, and the music and the vibe and the way things were back when Tally and I were getting serious.
Yeah, seriously. Like, I mean, we got together in like I can't ever remember the exact date we went on our first date, or the day we met, because our first date was the second time we met. We tend to kind of celebrate it towards the end of August, don't we? What's the day that we've like allocated?
The 25th. August 25th is our like date-iversary.
I don't remember that so much now, since we've got a wedding anniversary.
Exactly. Now we have
it seems less important now, but we always do kind of celebrate.
Early August, I think. It was summer. I remember what I was wearing.
I remember what you were wearing. I remember literally the first time I saw you, and that's also the day that I asked you out. And then I remember what you were wearing, because I saw you about 100 yards in front of me. It was a very long road to get to the staff entrance of the Natural History Museum, and I remember seeing you walking in front of me in like your jeans and your stripy black and white
little stripy
top. It was I remember that.
And then you were like, I'm gonna ask her out.
Who's that? It's like, I'm gonna marry that ass.
And you did.
I did.
Well done.
Boom. Marry was not the word I thought of, but I wouldn't have said no, is what I'm saying. And like, here I am. Now I get to walk behind you very closely.
As we're going upstairs.
As going upstairs every single night and tap your bum. And lucky me. I don't remember what I was wearing. I think I used to go and wear my uniform. So
I think, I remember that. Yeah. I remember your rosy cheeks. I remember you.
It's because I just run after you.
I literally remember you talking to me, and I kind of like, and you talked for a while, and then you started talking about Shakespeare. You literally started talking about Shakespeare, and like this is like the first conversation, and I was like, and I kind of like zoned out a little bit, was just like nodding and looking at you, and I was like,
template for our entire relationship. Well, you know why that was, don't you? Sorry, just I have to embellish on this little tangent we're going on here. So it's like that episode of Peep Show. You know, the one where they go back to their old university and Mark is pretending to be a student because there's this girl he fancies. And like there's that thing of like he ends up back at her flat, and she's like, oh, I'm really tired, let's not do anything, let's just cuddle. And he's like, it's like, we can go for a proper date or something. We've got the whole next 3 years. And he's like, no, it has to be now. Because like he has to go back home, like he's not really a student there, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and it was like that thing where I knew it was my last day in the museum.
It was your last day
so
of work.
I was, and I wouldn't have asked you out had it not been my last day, right? And I was like, look, I'm never gonna get a chance to do this. Fine, fuck it. And I ran after you and I stopped you and I was like, we cannot continue. In my head I was like, we cannot continue this conversation any other time. This is my one shot. Like if I don't secure like this girl taking my number right now, then it's literally never gonna happen. So I kind of made a pitch, right?
Yeah.
I did as much as I could.
You did. It was definitely a pitch. It was like 10 minutes of just
That's
talking.
not true.
No, it was lovely.
That
I
is
really
not
enjoyed it.
true.
I really enjoyed it. No, obviously I enjoyed it because look where I am. Anyway, sorry to rehash that.
And
one.
little did you know, you'd spend the rest of your days getting covered in champagne, just running down your face. Anyway, right. So yeah, it will be fun to do it and remember our first dating experience, like because that was part of our courtship, right?
Yeah.
I used to go around your flat, and we would level together.
Yep.
In Mr. Pandaris so that you could get the recruiter. It's the reason I started that new account, my
know.
third WoW account,
Yeah, it was great, and I want to go back. Like I want to do Siege of Ogrimmar properly. Like I want to,
me too.
I want to do it with our guilds. That's the
Yeah.
thing. I want to do Pandaria Classic with our guild,
Oh,
and
agreed,
that's gonna feel really good.
Yeah,
It's gonna feel
it
awesome.
would be fun to go back to because that's when I started playing Disc Priest as well. Was Mop,
God,
and it'll be fun to go back to Mop. I much prefer Disc Priest now, but Mop Disc Priest was really fun. In fact, I'd go as far as say it was an absolute fucking monster. So yeah, I am looking forward to it. It'll be cool. It'll be cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, like Mop Classic, pushing all my buttons, and it is
Amazing.
that funny thing because we were talking, this time a year and a half ago or whatever. We were like, what are they going to do with Classic? Are they going to stop here and just do variations of Classic? Because if you go on to Cataclysm, you're committing to doing all the expansions. Then
Yeah.
you're committing to going to WoD Classic,
Going all
which will
the
be
way.
after that, and that's going to be weird. But so like, what are they going to do? And then there's that other thing where I think the player base would be really interested in Mop Classic, but very much less interested in Cataclassic. And it's that thing of like, legitimately, maybe they'll skip Cataclassic and go straight to Mop. And when they announced Cata, it was like, okay, they rightfully so. They feel like they've got to do all of them. They can't just skip one because what does that say, right? But then it's that thing of, I got a feeling they might just kind of like power through Cataclysm Classic,
Yeah.
And I think that is going to be the case. I think
It's
like,
gonna be cool, yeah. And they're like, it's happening now.
yeah, they really are they really picked up the pace on Cataclysm Classic. It was like, okay, wow, what's going on? Firelands, let's go. It's like, because I think they know that a Mop Classic is where the real excitement is, and I feel like that might be the last one that people get really excited for in terms of Classic as well. Legion Classic, I guess.
Are you kidding me? Legion Classic is going to be insane.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's absolutely going to be a blast. I cannot wait.
Guess so. Okay, and then of course we had the World of Warcraft announcements, so we got a little bit of stuff about 10.0.7. They didn't actually give a release date in the thing, but they have since given a release date.
Yes.
It's exactly when we thought it was, mid-December. So
November
that's
14th,
coming
I
up.
think.
Yeah, really exciting. We got a little bit of a snippet of a cinematic with Orwenya. As well, which looks like it's actually from 11.1 and the intro to 11.1 and going down to Undermine because it's Orwenya. It's also like a little mole machine.
Yeah.
But an in-game cutscene that we saw as well to do with Dalaran, and because we know that there's a storyline around Dalaran as well in 10.0.7, which is on the PTR. And then of course the main event was the 11.1 announcement. And what did you think of that?
Oh my god, it was so well done. Can I just give major props to whoever named this? I love it. They're like, what are we gonna call it? It's like, well, it's Undermine. It's like, what do we call it? Undermine.
Now, I heard a theory online that they've called it. This is a fan theory, by the way. It didn't come from any devs or anything like that. So, did I call it 10.0.7 again? Why do I keep doing that? Sorry, 11.0.7. I think it's because 10.0.7 was the first ever 0.0.7. Okay. So it's kind of cemented itself
in your brain,
in my head. Yeah, but obviously, just every time I say it, ignore it. It's 11.0.7.
Fine.
So, there was a fan theory online that they called it undermined because, of course, we all worked out where we were going before this game even released, right?
Okay.
The idea that, you know, we found the Goblin raid like loot icon
Sure.
in the data before War Within had even gotten out of alpha, and to that extent undermined the big surprise of patch 11.1.
That's so meta.
I like it as a theory.
Yeah.
I genuinely do, right?
It's fun. I think it might have to do more with like the story that's happening in there, like who is being undermined, like
Well,
someone.
I think you're
somewhere
definitely
along
right.
the way, their ambitions or their plot, like someone is going to have the ground taken out from under them, right?
Yeah, I definitely. Oh, yeah. What? Like, yeah, like
Who
literally-
and who is that going to be? Right? Is this like we are undermining, you know, Gallywix's like, you know, power, whatever he has left? Like who is going to be undermined here? I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing I really like, so legit, one of the things that sets my heart at rest and like it makes me feel good about this patch already before we even get into any of the content is the patch logo. Now, you know I love a good patch logo, right? Except maybe you don't. Maybe you've forgotten because it's been so long since we've had a good patch logo.
You're right.
Like, the patch logos have just stopped being a thing. It used to be the case, you know, when we started making videos, so back in Legion, and all the way up to that point where patch logos were like all individually designed,
They're just
and they
an
were
art
all
form.
yeah, and they were all variations on a theme, but they were all like individually designed works of fucking art, like representing the thing that was going to be in the patch, and the font was always different, and there was always like unique art on it and stuff. And then in BFA they started with the round logos. They started just having like the big W in the background and a little bit of embellishment around the side.
Little
and
flavor.
The color would be different, and that was it. And this is the first one, literally since, because I went back and looked at them.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Yeah, this is the first one since 7.3, the Antorus patch in Legion, which is, I think, qualifies as like a unique, like properly kind of conceptualized and put together like patch logo, and it's brilliant. And I would actually go as far as say it's one of the best patch logo. Like, actually, I went back and looked at the Antorus ones and the ones before that, but this is better than those. Like, I was actually a bit disappointed. I'd remembered the Antorus ones being much better than they were, because compared to this, they're not as good. This is an absolute banger of a patch logo. It is so good, and it makes it like it genuinely gives me a lot of hope for the patch. It's kind of like when Marvel started making like superhero movies, because it had been Sony making all the Marvel movies up until like Iron Man came out, and Sony always had that thing of like, your superheroes will be dressed in black leather because that's the only way people are going to care about superheroes and think they're cool, right? And it's like, even the X-Men, when they came out, they were just dressed in leather, and that's just how you dressed superheroes in movies. And if you weren't around at the time, it would be, and that happened all through the 90s, well, particularly in the 90s and the early 2000s as well. It was always the black leather. And you know, if you weren't of an age then, you probably don't remember how seminal it was when Iron Man came out and then Thor came out, and these were superheroes that were actually dressed like they were in the comics, and it was goofy, but it worked, and that's what we wanted to see. It was like, people love the comics,
that.
man. Totally. And like, and so like, and it made you feel like, oh, okay, they get it, and it gave you faith in the movies. Like, you went in there with kind of like, you know, in the mindset where you were like, you wanted to enjoy it, and you were,
like, they trust me to take this seriously, like, even if they're dressed like completely goofy.
And I know it sounds stupid, but I get a similar vibe from this. It's that thing of, okay,
I like that,
like, you've realized that the patch logo is important. I know it's such a tiny little thing, right? But I'm like, yeah, the patch logo is important, and this is a banger of a patch logo, and it makes me feel really good. And like, it's so good.
It's really wonderful.
It's really cool. It's like it's got a slot machine handle on it. It's got sponsored by Wowhead in the bottom left hand corner there, obviously. It's like, it's just so good. It makes me feel like so happy. And what do you think of the Undermine itself? Oh, because hang on, that's the other thing. Sorry, there was a lot of speculation, and to the extent that I even got swayed, because obviously, you know, we've been saying Undermined for patch 11.1 again since before the expansion launch. We've literally got a video on it where we say it will be undermined for 11.1.
Yeah.
What might that look like? And I might go back and revisit that video actually and have a look at it and see how we fared on it. But you know, I was swayed in recent weeks where people were convinced it was going to be the Rootlands. This supposed like cut zone that is apparently in the data and you know is attached to the War Within zones in Hallowfall where all those roots are and stuff like that. And you know, when people saw the Harrenir were going to be a big deal in that patch, it made sense, right? And it's like, okay, well maybe Undermine will just be the mega dungeon or the raid or something, and then it instantly was like conjuring images of Mechagon where you were like, oh, we just got that as a mega dungeon.
We did that,
and
it
didn't feel like enough for Mechagon. You wanted it like as a zone where you could properly explore it and stuff like that. So for me, a big takeaway from 11.1 is like I'm relieved that it is both a zone and a raid. Like that feels good to me, you know. What do you think?
Absolutely, and I feel like they've nailed the Goblin aesthetic and vibe. Like it's gone so extra, and it has to, and like they've really tiny image.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Sorry.
They've. Tally's just opening teeny weeny images.
Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, it feels really good. And I'm not even a Goblin person. I'm not like a Goblin girl. But they've absolutely done it. And yeah, with this patch logo, the thing with patch logos, I'm almost like, if there were
doorbell
more
again.
Yeah,
Sorry, everyone.
yeah.
Oh, this one is.
So sorry. Good. The thing with patch logos is like, thank you. Just been announced that someone is at the front door. That like I would love if we got into a way of like having the patch logos and collecting them somehow. Do you know what I mean? Like literal like pins or patches. Like maybe this is like kind of cynical and capitalist of me, but I would love the idea of having like the patch logos as actual things that you can have and own in some way. Maybe. I know it's not from Zara. I'm really, God, I don't know. I really hope it's not. That would be hugely embarrassing because I've only ordered one package. But yeah, looking at Undermine, seeing the raid as the same theme, made me really happy because it feels like there's going to be a lot of it, right? Like there's a lot of Undermine to experience, and you can have that whether you're just kind of just hanging out in the zone and story questing through the zone or doing the raid, which looks cool. What was that?
It was an Amazon delivery. Now I don't know, but it's an Amazon box, but judging by the shape, it looks like a bin. Did you order a bin?
I did. That's supposed to be here on Monday.
Hey, awesome.
Okay. I mean, I'm not complaining.
No, that's good.
It's a recycling bin. I'm just really sorry. Hey, that's your gym today, going up and down the stairs 3 times.
Yeah, seriously, like not even joking. It's insane. Why am I doing this?
Yeah. Sorry, we have just been riffing on the idea of like having patch logos as actual patches and things that you can have. Like, I love that patch logos are cool now.
I leave you alone for like 1 minute, and you start talking about patch logos being patches that you can stick on your clothes.
Yeah, like new merch, basically.
Oh my God.
Like, and Ian can get a new T-shirt every time there's a new patch. I think that's really cool.
Okay.
I think that's cool.
Sure. Okay. Ian gets a new T-shirt every time anyway, right? So I mean, like. He loves that shit. I've never seen someone rock so many different World of Warcraft t-shirts as Ian because he's been in the job so long.
I know.
Apart from anything,
I know.
It's wild. Okay, so you know, like the Undermine
Yes.
as a zone. Like, are you excited about questing through there?
Absolutely, like 100%.
Yeah.
I mean the car mechanic.
Nice.
I was not expecting that. Were you? Drive.
Wow, I mean, yeah, okay, so I've got to admit, you know, there are some things I'm a bit not worried about, but, you know, I have thoughts, I have concerns, and I love the whole, like, aesthetic of the Undermine. I think it's great. Obviously, you can't go wrong. It's Goblin stuff, right?
Yeah.
I think I prefer the aesthetic to the zone, to the raid. Galliwix's kind of, like, pleasure palace is like casino or whatever. I like, have we ever had a WoW baddie who is more explicitly based on a real life political figure? It's kind of hard to.
Well, he's like an amalgam. Of
yeah. He's like.
He's just that guy you don't like.
Yeah.
He's just the mean guy who makes life hard for people.
He's just the capitalist who is the like traditional baddie in American teen movies.
Yeah.
Right? It's like,
exactly.
I want to build
Harkens
over the
back
skate
to
park.
an
It's
old-
like, no, man in the
No.
suit. F you.
I'm gonna have my skate park and I'm gonna enjoy it for the children.
And this talking dinosaur that we dug up is going to help stop you building over the skate park,
Exactly.
or you
Take
know,
that,
like, exactly.
old man.
Yeah.
yeah.
So like one thing, I think the raid aesthetic is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's very neon, except I expect it'll only be about half of the raid aesthetic. I think like half of the raid will be outside in the zone,
Possibly,
and half of it will be in, because it's only an 8 boss raid. It's like our second 8 boss raid in a row.
Is that enough bosses for you?
Well, I mean, it is the first time that's ever happened since Mr. Pandaria. I did just go back through and check, and it is the first time that we've ever had the second major raid of an expansion have as few as 8 bosses. They've always had at least 9, but traditionally they've had 10 or more in some cases. And, you know, like you can't really compare it to Mists, because Mists, like, you know, raids had a completely different structure back in those days. But since WoD onwards, modern times, yeah, we just haven't had it. Even like Blackrock Foundry had more bosses. Every second raid usually has more bosses. So in that respect, we kind of did get our mega dungeon, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, and I get a feeling it's gonna be one of those things where we fight a bit outside and then we go inside and we like, you know, that's when the kind of the pleasure palace stuff, or I keep calling it pleasure palace, but you know, like the casino stuff happens. And the casino stuff, yeah, exactly. The casino stuff looks like just awesome.
Yeah,
it's all like bright neon and pinks and hot pinks and like, you know, string lights and stuff like that. I absolutely love it. And then Gallywix and his big machine to kind of finish us off, which I love. And I'm really excited about that. I'm slightly less excited so far about the general color palette of the zone itself,
right?
Because the stuff in the zone is very exciting. You know, you got like the winding goblin roads and stuff, and you've got you know, like all the moving signs and stuff, just like in Kazan. It's got a real Kazan kind of feel about it, which I think is fantastic. But there is like this kind of mist of yellow everywhere and green, and it's fumes. I get it, it's smog, right? But okay, so
smog.
I can't help myself, but it does make me think a little tiny bit of Korthia.
Yeah.
No, and like it's like Korthia had that same like yellow kind of hue to the air there, right? And
it did. But this at least is populated by like mecha dinosaurs.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And stuff. Like,
but
and
I guess
you have the yellow is, you know, it's a smog, but it's also the yellow of like the sulfur lights.
Yeah.
Right. Like
no, yeah, I get it. I get it.
I understand.
I guess what I love the aesthetic of the casino and inside the casino so much. I love the neon. I love the bright colors. And I guess I just like to see a bit more of that in the zone itself.
Yeah, sure.
But whatever, man. It looks great.
I'm sure we'll see some of it.
Now there are some, you know, some gameplay features that we know of, which obviously we're going to learn a lot more about as time goes on. One of those is, of course, the car.
Drive, or DRIVE.
Yeah, goblins love doing that shit.
Yeah.
And that's the car that you'll get, the mount that will drive you round. Customizable mount, levelable mount, and of course the first thing anyone thinks of when they tell us about our new car mount, understandably, is where's the fucking flying then?
Yeah. Hold
like
on.
is you know, are we saying that there is no flying in the Undermine and that we're going to have to be driving around all the time? I mean, that is what we're saying, clearly, surely, but how's that going to fly? How's that going to go down with the player base? Do you think that's something the player base is going to be okay with?
It's tricky, isn't it? And they're like, yeah, it's cool. It goes really fast. Super fast.
As long as it does go really fast.
And it's like, well, I think if it does go, like, I like the idea of having a ground-based analog for skywriting.
Yeah.
Like, think of it that way. Think of it, there are going to be mechanics. So there's going to be like literal, like, you know, you're going to drift, you're going to have like turbo boosts, right? Like if it's going to go that fast, and it's going to be a nice experience in its own. So maybe that will be okay.
I like your pointing out that it's an analog to dragon riding in that it's
Like a
kind of
ground-based
Yeah,
one,
exactly. Because that was something we actually put in our pre-expansion predictions, like pre-BlizzCon predictions last year, was like a water or ground version of dragon riding. You know, that thing that it's not just more efficient, it's not just faster, but it's kind of like a mini game in itself, and it actually like adds gameplay and enjoyment to the travel, which is something that dragon riding does so well. And I like, good to see that one of those predictions has belatedly come true in this expansion.
Yeah.
And I think that could be really fun, having like a mode of transport which is on the ground but uses the same kind of principles of dragon riding, as in it's something you have to be engaged in and play on. Hopefully it will be that more than, you know, the standard WoW kind of vehicular thing of here is your boost button on a timer. Here is your, like, you know, when you get like in Kazan, when you're driving the car in Kazan, frankly, like, and it's the standard WoW vehicle stuff, which never quite hits the mark. But yeah, if it's as enjoyable as dragon riding, or even comparable to the engagement that I get from dragon riding, then I'll be well up for it. Totally.
Yeah, and like, just think of how fun it's going to be to cruise into, and they've got photos of this, like cruising into your garage to get some upgrades on your ride. I love it.
Yeah, I guess I love it too. I think it'd be really fun, and it made me laugh when Ian was like, you know, maybe you want your car to be really good at cornering, or maybe you want it to drift more. You can put points into acceleration or into speed. And it's like, yeah, bitch, speed, obviously. What the fuck? Like, are you kidding me? Who's not going to put all their points in speed?
Most important question: can I race?
Yeah, I mean,
like, will we be racing each other?
Of course there'll be races.
There must be.
The kind of like the dragon riding races never really took off, unfortunately. There's still that option there where you can queue for like races against other people, but there's never anyone queuing. Like, unless you're going to do it on stream with people who are watching and you can organize it properly, you can never really do it.
I need a proper track.
Yeah,
you know, I need a finish line. I need to be on the ground, and I need to be able to like pass people. I need to be able to like put my points into, you know, like little turbo boosters on the side that like knock people off. Like, you know, like
I want some little blades that come out of the wheels. Like,
yeah.
That'd be so cool. And like, you know, if there's a cool customization that you can do, like on the paint jobs and stuff, and like put some spoilers on. I bet there'll be customizations that are specific to each cartel and stuff like that as well.
Definitely.
Which brings us to the cartels. Now, hopefully, we're going to get a bit more clarification on this soon. But what's the deal with the cartels? Because it sounds like it's 4 renowned tracks, and the way it was described by Ian in the direct was that you choose one to pledge your allegiance to, as it were. Now, I guess the big question about that is it going to be like Covenant level pledging your allegiance, as in
like, this is the one,
or is it going to be more like the pact system in Ashgahet, where you can do any of them and you're pledging your allegiance to one at a time, sort of thing?
I mean, I'm not really up with my Goblin lore. Like, the cartels don't get along, right? The idea is that they are kind of their own factions, and they're like not on board with each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So that would suggest it's like Covenants. I don't think it's going to be that way, because I think they've learned from Covenants.
Yeah.
I think WoW has learned from Covenants, and they're like, no, you're just going to have to, you know, we'll frame it as they all don't like each other, but you will be able to get friendly with all of them.
Covenants.
Yeah.
Okay, counterpoint to that, though. Counterpoint. What if, you know, because in Shadowlands, of course, there was no warband.
No.
So there was that thing of like, you really were restricted to one.
Yeah.
Whereas that's not the case now, because you could put any number of different warband people leveling up the different kind of things, and you'd still get them.
Yeah.
You know?
But what if you don't really use warbands? What if you don't have alts?
Yeah.
You know, Like, what if you don't really play that way? Like, the option is there. I think it's just going to be like pact based.
That's where you're going to put your money. So do you think you'll choose one per week? And I guess
think so.
The first trial of this really was with Rathian and Sibelian in Dragonflight, where you chose which one to kind of do your quests for that week, and you build up your
like you're gonna pick both hot dragon daddies
eventually.
You're
which one did you level up first?
Sibelian.
Me too.
How could I say no? And that choice was based on like, I love Rathian, but he's not a leader. Like, come on. Like,
I know. And like the absolute fury from some parts of the player base was like, he's not going to be the black dragonflight like aspect. It's like, no, are you fucking kidding me?
He's adorable, but he's just a bit of a knob, isn't he?
Yeah, bitch has the worst ideas.
He doesn't have great ideas. So exactly like that. It'll be like you choose kind of per week. Who you choose to bump up your points with. Eventually, you can get it with everyone. Eventually, you can get every customization for your car.
But you could feasibly hop between them week by week.
Yes.
That seems likely to me.
We're
going to find out in hours, honestly. So,
as always happens. We'll
as soon as if we ever hear anything about that, we'll let you know.
Yes.
But I feel like that could be fun. I feel like that could be good. And, there'll be different characters in each one and stuff like that. It'll be, I want there to be a slight more kind of customization than the dirigible. Is that fair? Like, I don't feel like there's a whole ton of customization on the dirigible. I feel like I want, and I got a feeling, that each cartel will unlock one color. I've got a feeling like one cartel will have the blue car, one cartel will have the... But where do I get my kind of like hot pink and zebra skin?
From Gazlo.
Skin.
Oh, not Gazlo. From Gallywix.
Yeah.
You kill Gallywix.
Yeah,
and he's going to drop like the cool like leopard print skin.
Yeah, and maybe from Delves as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Ian did say there was going to be 2 new Delves.
Yeah.
And he also said there'd be a Zekvir equivalent as well, like a new Zekvir equivalent. Now, I don't know if that is one of the 2 Delves. I suspect not. I expect that'd be like a third thing. But that's fun as well. I thought Zekvir was great before it got, like, even after it got nerfed to the ground. I think it's kind of great. So that'd be fun. And maybe you'll get a cool skin from that as well, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Like you do from Zekvir and stuff like that.
Final bosses. It's going to be one of those.
One thing, though, that we learned was that we are not getting, surprisingly, a new Delve companion.
Not yet.
For this patch.
In Ian's own words, Gran. That's how I think he's so old by now. Gran.
Oh, don't stand there.
And like he makes you a little fire, and he's like, Bran will have goblin flavored curios, and everyone was like, no.
Bran? What's he gonna do with those? He's not coming in any Delves with me. I got my new companion.
I could have sworn I heard every season there's gonna be a new companion.
I feel like they told us that. It feels like that was the plan. Maybe I'm wrong.
But it felt like every season we'd have a new companion. So everyone was banking on having a new one.
I mean, I feel like it's going to turn out to have been a decision, like, because I know that when we spoke to Ian at Gamescom, we asked him about how they'll kind of level up Delves. What will happen? Will they just release a whole new bunch of higher Delves? What will happen with the companion? Will they just start at the higher Delves? Or and I feel like they sat down, they were like, it's just going to be easier to add levels to Bran. It's just going to be more elegant system to do that, and we can give him new toys to play with, and we can theme Bran with like the patch rather than have a whole different. And we can think about a new companion in next expansion or something like that.
Sure.
I think we're probably stuck with Bram for the rest of the expansion now. I think this is like, that's probably what they just decided, because he said that they hadn't decided how they were going to expand on it in the following patches. So this feels like they have made their decision, and they've walked back the companions for different patches. I don't know though. I mean, that's what it feels. A new brand venture, so no Gazlo for Delves, unfortunately. It might be that they wanted Gazlo for the cartel stuff. So
maybe.
Yeah. I know that there is a cartel that I'm hated with.
Yeah.
Is that one of the cartels in the Undermine? Is it? I forget which one it is that I'm hated with, but I definitely have like hated reputation with one of the cartels. I wonder if that will be represented.
Is it Venture Company?
Yeah, maybe when I go down there, and I wonder if there's one that like is like, no car
They'll
from
just
me.
like attack you on site.
Yeah, exactly. Like genuinely, I think that could be really fun. I think it's cool. But as far as the aesthetic goes, I mean, like I was saying on stream, like I feel like every raid I've done for a while now, for an expansion and a bit, it feels like it's been like an elemental raid, elemental shit going all over the place. And that's been fun, but I'm so ready for some dirty steampunk tech.
Yeah.
I'm so ready for some neon, which is not like natural neon. I'm so ready for some like gizmos. I'm so ready for some like analog cogs and machines
like
and mechanics.
Stupid button that like kills people, like
the transmog
there's
is
going to be both
legit.
both like kind of in raid mechanics, but also just stuff floating around that is going to like decimate your party.
The
like
tier sets are going to be like so wildly specific.
They're going to be absolutely crazy. They're going to be absolutely crazy.
They're going to be like instantly recognizable. It's going to be so cool. And it looks like we might be killing Gallywix at the end of it as well, which is probably going to be very symbolic and cathartic.
Yeah. Levels. And I think and that's how it feels. He's gonna drop that little flying mount when you kill him, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that in the mounts. Oh, there's gonna be some good stuff coming out of here.
Is it Steam Weedle Cartel that I'm hated with? Is that the one? I'll have to go and check.
Yeah.
I'll have to go and see which one it is.
Yeah, I'll have to see.
But it looks, it is very exciting. We've got the roadmap as well.
Yeah.
So we've got Operation Floodgate is the dungeon, which is not a mega dungeon as far as we know. It's just a dungeon, and it's like just using the waterworks dam area of the Ringing Deeps, and that's the environment it's using. So, I mean, excited by that.
It's fine.
I forgot you hate dungeons. I forgot that's not your thing anymore.
I don't hate them. I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. Like, what's gonna happen? I'm looking forward to like follower mode when I can get a story out of it. Which I genuinely don't knock follower mode. I think it's really cool, especially at the beginning of an expansion when you're not like pushing dungeons. You do it for the first time, and you're like, I understand what this has to do with the rest of the story.
Absolutely.
Right.
But of course, we did get this glimpse of the roadmap, and there are things obviously in this roadmap, not just further down the line, but in 11.1 itself that were not mentioned, which are worth mentioning because they're very, very exciting. So Undermined is coming out in winter of 2025. So, it looks like that's going to be probably about February, something like that. I think it'll be the last kind of throw of the dice of winter, right? So it's going to be, I think February's a pretty fair shout for 11.1. And Liberation of Undermine is the new raid. Operation Floodgate, which obviously isn't Undermine, but is kind of Goblin-y themed as well, which is really good. We know that the Motherlode is going to be one of the dungeons of the legacy dungeons of the 4 legacy dungeons.
Yes,
I'm still kind of betting that one of them will be the deep mines.
I think we got confirmed dungeons. Hold on a second.
Well, it's going to be the other 4 War Within dungeons. Yeah. So it's Cindermead and etc. And Cindermead obviously has the amazing goblin baddie in it. Cinderbrew, and Cinderbrew Meadery, thank you. Yeah. Yes. And then there's going to be Motherlode, which we predicted because it's kind of obvious. But yeah, I think the Dead Mines is the dungeon I was thinking of. Sorry, I think Dead Mines is a good shout as well. I think we might be going for that one.
Sounds about right.
But they didn't say that Operation Floodgate was going to be one of those dungeons, did they? They're not putting that in the season.
I think they are.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Oh, they are.
Floodgate is.
So there's going to be 2 other returning legacy dungeons.
Two.
Oh, they are actually including Operation Floodgate in that. Okay, hey, that's cool.
Right?
That's really
right
good.
Off the bat.
Because that only means 3 legacy dungeons. That's actually really good.
2 legacy dungeons.
Well, the 3 because Motherlode is one of them.
Including apart from Motherlode.
Oh, okay. I'm down with that. That's really exciting. So the other thing that's really exciting about 11.1 and the launch of 11.1 with season 2 is Warband's UI updates. Warband's camp collections.
What is going on?
Did you see that?
Oh.
which is, I mean, that sounds to me like different backgrounds for your war bands, right?
It does.
As promised.
It
And
does.
I feel like that's coming a little bit sooner than any of us expected.
Yeah.
Like camp collections makes it sound like there's gonna be more than one new one to me.
Absolutely.
You know, like
Yes.
because 2 ain't a collection.
No, exactly.
Like 3 at least is a collection. You
Yeah.
know, I feel like you can't even start talking about a collection until you got 3. And really, if we're being honest, it's 5. 5 is a collection. You know, so I don't know. What do you think they will be? The War Within zones, or do you think they will harken back to some older things? Because you know what everyone wants. Everyone wants Grizzly Hills and shit like that. Do you think that's going to happen?
I think you could. Yeah, I think it will harken back to just different locations. I don't think they're going to be limited to War Within zones and areas.
I mean, like initially in this initial rollout.
Oh, in this initial,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe to keep in like, I don't know, in keeping with the expansion. Maybe they'll be all like expansion flavored, and then they'll roll other ones back. I don't know. Actually, I haven't decided how I feel about that yet. What do you think?
For me, it feels like one of those things where they'll do like the current expansion and then they'll start going back sort of
Yeah.
things. So like that's why I kind of expect it. I expect one of them to be Undermine. I expect like maybe and maybe the zones, or maybe Dornagal, and you know if we're lucky Hallowfall, something like that. And then we'll go back and we'll get some Dragonflight zones, and like in a future patch. And then in a future patch we'll get like, you know, it'll be one of those things that they're kind of like constantly adding.
Yeah. What
to,
about
sort of thing.
what about like, you know, outside of capital city?
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah,
things like
exactly.
that.
And you know, like Stormwind and Ogrimmar might be an obvious one to like include in the initial
Yes.
things, but I kind of feel it'd be more current expansion based initially, and then
Makes
kind of going
sense.
back through the old stuff.
Makes sense.
But I'd be thrilled if they surprised us with a whole ton.
Me too.
Can you imagine?
Me too. That'd be so
What are you
good.
giggling about?
I'm just so excited.
You just had a little moment there where you were like, yeah.
I'm just excited. I'm just picturing my whole warband hanging out
Yeah.
wherever I want them to hang out.
But then it could mean something completely different. It might not mean backgrounds. It might mean like the elements of your camp.
Stuff in the camp.
It's called Warband's UI updates. So is that like, you know, is it I can swap out my tent for a hot dog stand or something like that? Or, you know, I can change the fire, or I can change the
different
weapon
chairs,
rack or something like
tables.
that. Yeah, like,
Maybe that's that. Is that going to be on the shop?
oh no. I mean, I feel like it's the kind of thing that might pop up in the trading post.
Yeah.
I think this might be a conversation to be had about player housing as well, to be honest. But so that's season 2. I'm really excited to get some clarification on Warband's UI updates. I think that's going to sound fantastic, and
Yep.
whatever Warband camp collections are. But then we go on even further, of course,
this
because
gets
this is a
exciting.
2025 roadmap. So you can't avoid the fact that this game got other patches coming up, right?
Yep.
So 11.15 is super interesting. It's got Nightfall, which is new content. Now, my question to you, Evitel, is Nightfall a mega dungeon?
You think it is.
I'm not so sure anymore.
Really?
I'm not so sure.
To me, it just, like we were talking about yesterday, kind of just signals the transition towards midnight. Like things are getting darker, literally.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. And then in combination with Horrific Visions returning, right?
Well, that's the other thing. Horrific Visions Revisited, which are the Horrific Visions, if you don't remember, was the void instances of Stormwind and Ogrimmar that were like single player content in patch 8.3 in BFA. It had that really good cinematic trailer, and it was like, you know, kind of solo content. It was a bit of a grind. I'm going to admit I didn't love Horrific Visions. I thought they were good, but having just the one or two, like the 2 locations that you went in, they were a bit samey. They're a bit of a grind, like the gradual kind of improvement week by week on how much you could get done in there.
Yeah.
It felt a bit grindy. I don't have like super good memories of Horrific Visions.
Me neither.
And I liked that patch plenty as well. So like Horrific Visions were one of my least favorite things in there. But yeah, it is really interesting. I think about how Ian said in that presentation, which is another thing I really liked, by the way, where he was like, some of you might be wondering how this links in with Xalatath and the story of the War Within, but I just want to assure you all it does,
yeah.
and that this is a really important chapter in the progression of this story, which I thought was really cool. And they never do stuff like that usually, and I feel like they're taking so much feedback with how they approach these presentations and stuff in mind. That thing of like, this isn't, and do you know what? It's like, I feel like that feedback could even have come from us, because that was my big criticism of 10.1. I do mean to say 10.1 this time, with Nefarious and stuff like that was, it felt like it wasn't relevant, you know? Because like the entire patch was set up as, this is a distraction.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
And it's like, yo, Firak, distract them.
Yeah.
And he's like, I will distract them.
Yes,
And he goes down, and then we're like, oh, we need
Uh-huh.
to stop. But we knew it's distraction. And so that entire patch felt kind of irrelevant to the story. In hindsight, it wasn't.
No.
Because Firak ended up becoming the last boss of the expansion. But we didn't know that. We just been told that we were like fighting this big distraction.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, it feels like a distraction then. It doesn't feel like relevant to the main story. And that was my big criticism about like that part of the story structure of that part of the expansion.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting that Ian has come out now and he's like, it's very relevant.
Yeah. This isn't a
It
distraction.
leads directly
Yeah.
into the action with Xalatath, and I feel like 11.15 clearly being straight back on the Void stuff is a clear indication of that. You know, you've got the raid, you've got Undermine, you've got all this Goblin stuff, and yet as soon as like as soon as 11.5, you've got Nightfall, which whatever it is clearly some voidy shit going on. Okay,
Exactly.
you've got Horrific Visions revisited, so Nightfall definitely sounds like it is the return of the Void in a big way.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it is descending upon us. It is literally falling upon us. There are going to be parts of zones which are turned into Horrific Visions, and I'm guessing it'll be War Within zones, right?
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah,
That sounds right.
I suppose so.
Either way, we'll see Xalatath back. It'll have her fingerprints all over it, right?
Yeah, and her toe prints hopefully as
Her,
well.
little feet prints all over my face.
So yeah, I'm really interested to find out more about Horrific Visions
Me
and
too.
Nightfall. But like, I mean, seriously, yeah, obvious confirmation that the Void shit is coming back. I feel like with the new dungeon, and just a normal straight ass dungeon being part of 11.1, the more I think about it, the less likely I think it is that Nightfall is a mega dungeon. You know,
Okay.
I think
You think it's
Nightfall will
just
be
a story.
yeah, Nightfall will be like a setup a bit like 8.3 and Horrific Visions and stuff like that. So, but all of this is speculation. We'll find out. 11.17, you've got story and quests and new content and system updates, like very vague. Obviously, we'll find out more about that at the time. Likewise, 11.2, nothing really to tell us there. New open world challenges, new raid, new dungeon, new world
events.
all
yeah.
the things you'd expect, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. And that's coming out in the summer. Starts getting very juicy, obviously, later on in the year. With the expansion reveal of Midnight, late summer, early autumn,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, shit starts to get real there, right? And
Yeah.
we were like, and that's the thing, we were like, there is almost certainly going to be a 2025 roadmap. And the thing is, that's going to have like the Midnight Alpha on it or something like that. And I think, there isn't a Midnight Alpha explicitly on the roadmap, but I would imagine that the Alpha is going to come out like at most a month after the announcement of like, and the reveal sort of thing. So, I mean, yeah, it is on there, and it is kind of weird to see it there before the actual announcement has happened.
And it's weird because we've already, like, we know what it's called. Like, we know, you know what I mean? Like, it's being announced, but we know what it's called. We know kind of the vibe. We know, we have a general idea of what it looks at kind of throughout the expansion. So it's actually kind of exciting. This is our first, this is our first one of these expansions that's been announced beforehand, as they were all announced in one go last BlizzCon. This is the first one where we're actually getting an announcement after the announcement.
Yeah.
And it feels all right, because I was like, how is this going to feel? I already know I know, like, I know what they're called. I know the logo, I know what it looks like. what's the actual announcement going to feel like? So that is really something to look forward to.
I'm very much looking forward to it. Give me that redone Silvermoon. I'm like so excited.
Oh yeah.
People pointing out that in the 11.2 segment of this roadmap, there is no new zone mentioned. Do you think that's do you think that means there isn't going to be a new zone, or
I don't know.
Like,
I actually don't know.
I think it's a good point. It's a good thing to bring up. Like,
fair.
what did the 2024 roadmap look like?
Yeah.
And did that have like a new zone on it? WoW 2024 roadmap. Let's see. Just want to check this. It's a good point and something I hadn't thought of.
Let's see. Oh, so the website version does say there's a zone. Okay.
Oh, the website version does say there's a zone.
No way. Okay.
Good. Okay. Well.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, there we go.
That's a
That
little
answers
mistake
that
they've
question.
made, which is hilariously a little bit like on their announcements thing. I don't know if you saw this, but after the thing, they put out a full announcements kind of like section.
Yeah.
Where they're like, announcements: player housing is coming to World of Warcraft in midnight.
Yeah.
Siren Isle, December the 27th. Undermined, winter 2025.
Oh.
It's not. It's just a misprint. Like, it clearly is meant to say winter 2024.
But like,
It says winter 2025, and they obviously got
I mean,
or
it
like
is winter.
sorry,
It
sorry.
is winter.
Oh
It is
yeah,
winter.
I guess so. Yeah,
It's
no, you're
early
right.
winter. We've got 2 winters.
But
on this
winter
roadmap.
2025 makes it feel like the end of the
it
of
does.
the year, doesn't it?
It does,
And it's
actually.
not. It's like
They really should move to like quarter 1.
Yeah, they should have just said like
they really need
early 2025,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
like even no, you're right. Because I read that and I was like, well, that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not, is it? But it is. It's not wrong, but it is misleading.
I think you're being thrown off by the red and green Christmas
Yeah,
colors.
I think I am.
It's like, wait, red, green, winter, it's Christmas, right?
Yeah. Look, I am not the only one who is confused by that, all right? And I admit, I am a
That's fair.
deeply, deeply stupid man. I'm very easy to confuse. I'm very easy to fool. But that did fool me. I'm sorry, that fooled me. I was like, yeah, okay.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really what it
It did confuse me. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, the new updated roadmap does have a new zone in there. So there we go. That's answered that question.
Perfect.
New zone, ethereal shit, right? Koresh,
Excellent.
I stand by it.
Well, it's gotta be
and
that.
then obviously like the vaguest shit you've ever seen for 11.25 and 11.2.
Oh, of course. Content and system
yeah, I get
updates. This
it.
is like me like doing a report for work or something.
But then 2 very interesting elements
Yes.
to the very end of this 2024 roadmap.
Yes.
The first
2025.
is what did I say?
2024.
I'm, like I say, a deeply stupid man.
Mm.
The first is the color of the bar, which changes from a nice kind of WoW UI like quest giver yellow, and it kind of fades into a kind of like a glowy neon-y green.
Yeah. Oh.
And there are a lot of people theorizing that at the end of Dragonflight, of course, there was a remix, wasn't there? To bridge the gap between Dragonflight and the new expansion, The War Within. And we had, it was Mr. Pandaria remix then. And I don't think I'm alone in taking this glowy green bar as basically confirmation that the next remix is Legion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Okay, I'm glad
I feel like this is not a hint. This is
No, I feel
being
like
told to you loud and clear.
that's the thing, man. I don't want to take it as confirmation because we do this as like a community all the time, right? We
Yeah.
just decide
Yeah,
something is
sure,
true
sure.
and like we talk about it like it's established fact, and eventually we start attributing these things to devs. Like
Yeah.
the amount of people I've had tell me on stream that Chris Metzen said that Midnight would be the expansion where we all lose. It's like, well, Chris Metzen said that's the expansion where we all lose at the end. It's like, no, he never said that. He
yeah.
literally never said that.
Okay,
We just
okay.
decided that would be an obvious thing to happen in the second installment of a trilogy, right? That's often what happens in the second installments of trilogies. We've assumed that's going to happen, so we decided that's going to happen, and because it's definitely happening, Chris Metzen must have said it, right? So we've attributed it to Chris Metzen. I've seen people say similar things about stuff that Ian has said and what have you. It's like, no, we as a community just decide stuff, and then we end up attributing it to Blizz, and then we get angry when it doesn't happen. But it could be the Burning Crusade, but it's not. It's Legion.
It's Legion. Either that or like a new Mountain Dew promo.
You have to drink 1,000 Mountain Dew before you're even allowed into the new expansion.
Seas of Azeroth are turning green. Mountain Dew green. Yeah, no, I think it's a clear marker towards Legion Remix. It feels right. It's what I want.
Yeah.
Speaking of clear markers.
Yeah, so not only that. Well, listen, okay? I remember on the stream before you joined us, I was going on over our bingo card of things that might be in the announcement. Yes, and I had player housing on that bingo card, and I had it in there, not as a joke. And people were like, do you really think they're going to announce player housing? And I was like, look, I don't expect them to announce player housing. All I'm saying is, I'm pretty certain we're going to get to... I literally said these words, right? You can go back and check the VOD. I'll be showing it in the weekly reset because I love this shit, right? And I literally said, I was like, look, all I'm saying is when we get the 2025 roadmap, okay, I don't expect them to say player housing is coming. I was wrong, right? But all I'm saying is when we get the 2025 roadmap, I wouldn't be completely surprised if there's like a flag in between two patches with like a picture of a house on it or something, you know, or a hearthstone, like something that we could feasibly read as player housing, but without the commitment of actually announcing it, like they did with Plunderstorm, and in fact, which they're doing with Plunderstorm again here, like on this roadmap too. But I was just, and I said, I was like, look, guys, you can give me as much shit for this as you like. All I'm saying is, I wouldn't be surprised on the 2025 roadmap, not completely surprised, I would be surprised, but I wouldn't be like, you know, shaken to my core if there was just a little cheeky flag in there, unmarked, with like something that could suggest player housing on it, like a house or a hearthstone or something like that. And lo and for fucking hold, on the 25 roadmap is what is clearly, in my opinion, I know maybe Keyboard Turner, Ellie in our chat has different ideas about this, but is clearly a hearthstone. Right?
It is absolutely a hearthstone in the shape of a house.
Yeah. Like, well, I mean, it literally looks like a house. Exactly. The like, shape on it.
You know, when we're talking about, you know, like signposting and hints and maybe this, maybe that, it's literally a house.
Yeah.
I think we are meant to read this.
Like, we've just had player housing announced. We know it's coming as part of Midnight, but it would obviously come in at least the pre-patch of Midnight. It wouldn't launch with Midnight, I don't think. It'll be like Warbands. It'll be one of those, or like Allied Races. It'll be one of those things that is a feature of the expansion, but actually releases before the expansion. Likewise, zone scaling and stuff with BFA. And like, you know, they've literally just announced player housing, and just before we would, because I'd expect Midnight, if they're keeping to an 18-month cadence, which many of us speculating that they're going to be aiming for, and that would make sense if Legion Remix is coming out in winter of 2025, you know, like we all think that there's not going to be a fated season. We all think there's not going to be a season 4. That's long been speculated. That the thing they're going to cut would not be like an actual content patch. It would be like the rerun season. It would be the fated season. And it was always that thing of like, yeah, player housing would cost a raid tier, which no one wants. But player housing costing a fated season? Load me up, cut that fated season. Give me the player housing. That is a deal. I will take that deal. Like, player housing costing a raid tier, not ideal. We don't love that, you know. Really want player housing. Really like raid tiers. But player housing costing a fated season? Shit, man. Cut that fated season forever. Get rid of that shit. Yeah, exactly. So like, Legion,
I kind of like fated seasons.
Well, I kind of like them as well, but like,
but
you know,
Remix
came
this is what it
after
costs.
the fated season was already rolling and stuff like that. So this would be the sign that the new expansion is coming. And if they are sticking to an 18-month cadence, that would mean February for 2026 for Midnight, which if the alpha does come out soon after the expansion reveal, as you'd expect it to on this roadmap, would actually link up. That would be the right amount of time for alpha.
Yeah.
I think there'd probably be March. My guess would actually be March but like, and you know, that would be feasible, that player housing would be a feature that they'd release before that, because they'd want to do a lot of testing on it. I suspect that they won't want a Warlords of Draenor situation where it breaks the entire expansion, this one feature, right? And I think with player housing, there is definitely the potential for that to happen. So I can see them doing this early. I can see them like releasing player housing in some form early, just to iron out any bugs before the expansion itself kind of kicks off. Like, so even before pre-patch. So for me, and I know other people have got different opinions on this, but for me, that little flag is so obviously a Hearthstone and so obviously refers to player housing that I actually get a little bit offended when people suggest it might be something else.
I know. I am of the same opinion. Like, to me, this is the Hearthstone that we will use to get back to our player housing. Like, that's going to be a functionality, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, and that is what it signals. There's been some interesting speculation. I think by Ellie, actually, by Keyboard Turner, about what is in the background of that little icon, because there's a bit of map there. Can you see it?
Oh no! What?
Can you see it? Yeah, have a look at that.
Okay, hang on.
I think Ellie has got something on this.
What is the bit of map, Ellie?
It looks like it's a bit of the Broken Isles, I think.
Oh, so you think it could be related to Legion?
Let me have a look. Quickly. One sec.
I still think it's player housing.
Yeah, well, I think it's player housing
look
too.
Look at the shape on the rune. It's a literal house.
Oh yeah. I'm not saying that it's not player housing, but does it suggest something about where?
But you're right. It is a bit of map, but
yeah,
it would make sense that they just used a bit of a map asset to kind of make it as well.
Exactly. But exactly. So
and also, why would you need? You wouldn't need two hints at Legion remix, right? So the thing is, like, the green is Legion remix. I'm convinced it'll happen.
Yeah.
It says player housing comes in midnight. Based on the roadmap icon, we can assume midnight pre-patch happens then. Yeah, I mean, but like I say, I mean, lots of things have been said to come in expansions. They've actually come a little bit before. Like I say, zone scaling being a prime example of that. Like, allied races and warbands and stuff came in pre-patches. But this is such a big thing, and it has the potential to break the game so much. I just wouldn't be surprised to see them bring it out a little bit before the pre-patch.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
And also, here's the thing: it's not going to be an expansion-specific feature like warbands, like level scaling. Okay, it's not something that you're going to need to own the expansion to partake in. It's going to be one of those things that people will be getting. We're not going to do it this episode now, but we'll have to talk about our theories about housing and how we'd like it to work and stuff.
Yes.
We made a player housing video like 8 months ago, which is still I rewatched it to make sure today it's still 100% relevant. And I recommend you go and watch that. But there's that thing where you're not going to have to own midnight to have access to player housing. There might be like some elements of player housing, like if there's one in the new Silvermoon zone or something like that. But there is going to be one in Stormwind, which means there's going to, like, that's what we can deduce from the trailer, which means there's going to be one in Orgrimmar. Okay. And you are not going to have to, I'm certain you will not have to own midnight for that to be a feature that you can partake in, and so it doesn't matter if it's in the pre-patch or not. to that extent,
Right,
you
yeah.
know. So
Yeah.
I just think they're going to be quite open with the timeline on this, and I think they will have. Do you know what? I think garrisons are going to be in their head quite a lot throughout all of this, like not repeating the mistakes of
Definitely.
garrisons, learning their lessons from garrisons, and most of that is going to be the content and what it's for and the functionality. But I think the release of it will be part of that as well, because I mean, WoD was the last time that this game really truly broke on a launch day, and it was because of garrisons, and it was broken for like a week. So I think it might be sensible just to be like, let's not do that. Let's just bring it out a little bit before, so if everything does break, people aren't waiting to get into a new expansion as well.
Exactly.
Sort of thing.
And it's still a tease, right? Because we've just seen a presentation. We've just been told that player housing is coming in midnight.
Yeah.
But seeing this on the map, you're like, ooh, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Okay, we still have a little surprise to come about how it's going to be rolled out, when it's going to be rolled out.
Absolutely. And like I say, I personally fully expect midnight to be like Q1 in 2026. And all I'm saying is, you might disagree with me, but I've been pretty right recently.
Don't jinx it, Tally.
Look, dude, I'm just
Don't
saying,
jinx
you
it,
might
man.
be sitting there disagreeing about this, but I'm just saying, I've been pretty fucking right.
Take your victories where they come, Tally.
Well, no,
Be a
this
little
is going to be a
humble.
bit. No. Part of the tally victory cycle is you have to be right very
Always
far in
victorious.
advance.
Yeah.
Like if you think I'm going to forget this conversation we've just had about this Hearthstone, you've got another thing coming. If you think I'm not going to like call back to this very episode when
fair.
it is revealed to be a garrison, like a player housing Hearthstone, if you think I will have forgotten, just because everyone else will have forgotten that we had this conversation, if you think I'm going to have forgotten, you've got another thing coming. So for me, the end of 2025 here, definitely a Legion remix, definitely player housing. It's all coming 2026. Print it.
Boom. Kaboom.
Fantastic. And with that, we should definitely go to some super chats.
Yeah, because we are.
Nice to have you here
we're
for
running
super
long.
chats.
I know. I often wonder what happens during super chats. Like,
yeah. What did he say? What did he do?
and so, but now I get to be here today, and we have loads of lovely super chats today. So we'll have to zip through these because we've been chatting already for a very long time. So first one, Sixton, thank you so much. Please ask. Oh, here we go. We've got one for the maybe a Q&A happening. Please ask if the Undermine ground mounts are going to make their way into a raid fight.
Please ask if the underground mounts. Oh, right. So because we had dragon riding raid fights.
Yeah. So now.
Okay.
And we all like vroom, vroom, vroom,
Yeah, because we
and,
know it's not
set
happening.
off
Yeah,
the-
that would be awesome.
That could be cool
Okay.
if there was like an actual track that you had to go down and like raids to get to a certain boss.
Okay.
That would be cool.
I feel like if I ever come face to face with an important dev, I might be able to ask that.
Yeah, like a hike.
Yeah, I
like
could absolutely do that.
I'm,
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
into that. And it based on the 18 upvotes on that, people seem to be very excited.
So we've had a like how'd you phrase that in a question? Be like, we've had a dragon riding boss in a raid. Mm-hmm. Top marks, well done, legit.
Yeah.
Well, Dawnbreaker's better, but yeah.
Yeah.
What about these cars, Ian? What's gonna be going on? Car boss.
Yeah.
It would be.
Yeah, I think
I
it'd be
only said
phrased a
Ian
little
because he's the
more
most important dev I could think
Obviously,
of, right? But
yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
I know.
J-Tark, thank you so much. Congrats, Tally, on being right. Yeah.
See,
Don't rub it in.
I told
What-
you.
What are your thoughts on the removal of flavored dungeon achievements in War Within?
I saw this question come through, and I'm not. Okay, so I've got, there are achievements that I like to do.
Mm-hmm.
There are achievements that I don't like to do. I will do my glory achievements in raid
Mm-hmm.
because I get dragged through there by my raid group, and we got very good at doing it in one session. And I always regret it if I don't get them because I'm like, I'm never going to go back and get them, right? So yeah, it's always something I feel like I've missed out on if I don't do it with raid. I do feel like I've missed out on it with dungeons as well, but it just seems like such a ball ache to get all the achievements in dungeons, so I don't pay that much attention to them. But this isn't the first time I've heard them called less flavorful. I think that's a shame. I think like with the raid ones, you never get to do them all in one go. So for me, with the dungeon ones, you never get to do them in one go. So with the raid ones, I'm always like, make them as efficient as possible, let's bop through it. But I think with dungeons, there's more of an expectation that it is going to be a more long-term project. You go in one at a time and you do them. So yeah, I'd be well up for them being a lot more flavorful. And let's see a return to that, please.
Yeah.
I like that. Like with the patch logos, let's bring back the flavor. Tell me what's your flavor. Tell me what's your flavor.
Yeah, you know my flavor.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
you know
like that Zalatath.
Oh, I know. I've seen
milkshake.
people
Like,
eating
honestly, like, dude,
that milkshake right
I
up.
don't know what the length of time of this promotion is.
It's
but
literally like 1 week.
I'm this close to getting on a train on Monday and going to London to get one.
Well, I don't think Monday is.
It's over by Monday?
I think it's over by Monday.
Seriously?
Yeah, I think it ends on like the 17th, maybe.
What date is it?
14th.
Oh my god! Oh, I might have to get on a train to London tomorrow. If I say I'm doing it for a Patreon video, can I use like company funds?
Yeah.
I mean, I would do it for a Patreon video. Obviously, I'd be like, Tally discovers what Zalatath tastes like.
Make it a patron video. Make it a proper YouTube video, man.
No. It's not our usual style.
Well, I think it would get lots of views.
If I get up early on Friday, trains are more expensive as well. That's the thing. Look, where's there a Shake Shack in London that we know definitely does it? I'll see what I'll.
It's only the ones in
I feel
London.
like I should be working on the weekly reset tomorrow as well. That's the thing. But
No, don't even get this idea in your head.
Well, I kind of think a cool YouTube guy would do on the spur of the moment. That's the thing, isn't it?
Are you a cool YouTube guy though?
Well, it's the kind of thing a cool YouTube guy would
do. Yeah.
Like, just for the job you want.
Sure.
Come on.
All right, continue. Josh asks, thank you so much. Tally, people/WoW had speculating the icon could indicate Remix Legion/WOD because timeline turns fell green and the icon is covering a map where the Broken Isles are. Thoughts? Yeah,
So
we
I
talked
know
about
that
this.
in one of the Lords of War animations, I think someone's got like that logo in their hand as well, like very similar to the one that we see on the stone. So I do absolutely understand the link with WOD there as well that people are drawing. I do genuinely get it. But like I say, I just can't see it being anything other than player housing. Hey, dude, I'm always up for being proven wrong. Absolutely. But I don't think the logo means anything in terms of Legion, right? I don't feel like that logo means. Maybe I'm wrong. Point out, but it doesn't look like the Dalaran Hearthstone. It doesn't look like the anything that would get you into the order halls. Is it? It's not like the seal that you use to get into the rogue order hall or something, is it? I don't know. Maybe because I know there's a stone that you use to get into the as a thing to get into the rogue order hall. I guess maybe it could be that. But I mean, help me out, fam. If that's the case, I still think it's player housing. I'm happy to be proven wrong always, but you know.
Grando Reaper, thank you so much for the super chat. Do you feel housing was pitched with the presumption of crazy microtransactions with it to justify costs?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? It's like such an obvious, and you look at any MMO that has player housing as well, Final Fantasy 14, ESO are the big ones. It's just such an obvious thing to have. Like, it doesn't feel that offensive, right? It's like, here's a picture, 99 cents. Like on the BlizzCon store, it'd be $2.99, right? $2.99 for a picture that you can pop on the wall. And it's just like so obvious, so easy.
Do you think that's going to happen though?
So I don't think it needs to happen.
Do you think it might be more like trading post oriented?
I think trading post will definitely be a way that they'll definitely put some stuff on the trading post. But I think like with professions, they don't have to put profession stuff up on the store because they still make real life money from profession stuff. Like as you discovered yesterday when you were trying to get some gear crafted, professions cost a lot of money. They cost a lot of money to level. They cost a lot of money to commission crafts to upgrade your stuff. And there's no doubt in my mind that they have resulted in a huge increase in the amount of WoW tokens that people buy.
Probably
for the gold. So they are making real life money out of professions through that, and I feel that would also be the case for housing items. It's like you can have all the housing items on a vendor in game and everything just be for gold or whatever, but also people are going to spend real life money to get that gold. So there's no reason to kind of sour people's like mood and opinion by putting it on the cash shop as well, because you're going to make real life money off them anyway. So you don't need to. You can play it cooler than that. You can play it smarter than that, I think, and like foster good feeling towards it instead.
I agree.
Yeah.
Wondermane, thank you so much. Tally was right. least about the player housing. Also spotted you two and myself in the audience of the anniversary concert.
Oh, awesome. That's so cool.
Brilliant. If anyone has timestamps of where we are, send them our way.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
I remember
love to see that.
I remember like I used to keep a page of Kerrang magazine, which was like a full page picture of the crowd at a Stereophonics gig that they played at Morva Stadium in Swansea in it must be 1998 or something like that.
Wow, okay.
And yeah, you could see my red, like bleached spiky hair and the top of my massive forehead,
Love
like
it.
peering out from the crowd, and I was like, I'm in Kerrang magazine, look.
Incredible.
So yeah, that would be similar for me. I mean, you know, we're in the announcement anyway with our beautiful like water breaking story, but also nice to
I want to see the concert footage.
Yeah.
Aaron, thank you so much as always for your super chats. Great to see you. What has Verisa been up to lately? Ooh, do you think we'll see anything from her before we see Sylvanas?
I feel certain that
we need a 3-sister team up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that will definitely happen as well. Like Midnight has got Verisa and Sylvanas written all over it. It makes sense to be like a big ending of the whole Windrunner saga, you know? And I think they'll probably lay off Verisa until Midnight, or the build up to Midnight. So I think we'll probably see her pop in like 11.2.5 and 2.7 and stuff like that. That's what I would be. That's what I would do.
Yeah. Subtlety Malefic, thank you so much for the silent super chat.
Hey,
Feel very welcome.
a
Really
lurker.
appreciate it. Josh S, again, thank you. Legion remix coming, calling it now. I'm
Yeah,
feeling it.
1,000,000%, Josh. I completely agree with you.
I'm feeling it, absolutely.
Sorry, that silent super chat just reminds me of our son, who one of his new things is he'll do a burp, and then he'll be like, silent burp. I'm like, no, it wasn't. I heard it from here. What are you talking about? He's like,
I heard that one.
and he'd be like, silent burp. I'm like, how is it silent if I heard it? And he's like, silent burp.
I love it. So yeah, that is our son. Georgie Varbanov, thank you so much for the super chat. There was a comment last night. If I can't break into people's houses and PvP them, I don't want it. Imagine if that's really a thing, LOL.
Well, that could be a new holiday event, like the literal purge. The player housing purge.
Yeah, it has to be like toggleable, because you can't have like break-ins, because that will make people feel unsafe and unhappy in their homes. But there could be like an event or a toggle, which is like turn on PvP in your home, which is insane. But I could be into it. I could be into it.
As an event you could opt into. I think that would be really good.
Yes.
It'd be nice for rogues to have like a robbing people's houses mode as well.
Yeah,
where they like sneak in and
John Lloyd with a lovely big super chat. Thank you so much. I called it. For the last 18 years, I've said they would be introducing player housing in the next X-Pack. I'm pretty much a prophet.
It's a fact.
Congratulations, John.
Like roll the tape of Ian saying that John Lloyd is canon.
Yeah. Congrats, my friend.
I know the feels, John. That is also my technique. That is also my prediction technique.
Next one's up from Tiago Duarte. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Thanks for the years of great content and for always being true to your honest opinions. Keep it up. I'm excited for what's next.
Cheers, Tiago.
Really
That's a beauty. And like, just to expand on that, it does feel like a legit. I feel like we've been saying this the last couple of years now, but it is just such a great time to be playing WoW and making content, and it just feels like a nice place to be. And I'm getting like, I always talk about the Legion vibes that I think War Within has, and one of the reasons for that is like people just enjoying the game so much.
Heck yeah, absolutely.
Having fun in it, and like there's a lot of just slack in the community, in that, you know, even when stuff does go wrong, I feel like Blizz have won people's trust over a bit, you know? I feel like if they'd announced player housing, you know, a couple of expansions ago, people would be dreading it because like, oh, they're gonna dick it up.
Yeah.
Whereas now I think like people are genuinely in a position where they're like, yeah, that could be really good.
Yeah. Next one from Stephanie Botica. Thank you so much. Excuse me, finally caught y'all live. Love the pod. Thank you. The decay theme from Brackenhide seems left unresolved.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. Will it be? Maybe. Where does decay magic fit cosmologically?
So decay is actually isn't it one of the elements? I feel like decay on the cosmology chart is actually an element, like fire and shit. But definitely kind of aligned with Shadowlands. Mm-hmm. And like kind of maybe with Fel as well. Let me just check the cosmology chart real quick.
Yeah, pull up the updated chart, Tally. No, don't pull up any of the old ones.
What?
Don't pull up any of like the old WoW cosmology charts.
Oh yeah, that was that great thread on Blue Sky from the guy that like designed the cosmology chart.
Was there?
Which we shared on Blue Sky. I highly recommend you check that out.
I will have to take a look.
Like really, really good. And he talks over how it was originally conceived as a 3D like map.
No.
Which is something obviously we glommed onto in Shadowlands.
No way.
So yeah, decay is actually one of the elements. Let me just bring this up for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Decay is one of the elements. You can see it here, like earth, water, spirit, fire, and air. So it would be, and that's the thing, right? So we know who the elemental lord of fire is. Mm-hmm. We know who the elemental lord of water is. We know who the elemental lord of earth is and of air, but we don't know who the elemental lords of spirit or decay are. And presumably, even if they're not around anymore, there once were. And it would be interesting, like, it feels like something they might have done in Dragonflight when there's lots of elemental stuff going on. But of course, Iridikron is still around, and, you know, he's very linked to the elements. So all I'm saying is the elemental lord of decay is someone that might crop up a little bit later. Who knows? And, you know, maybe we could, like, boot up the elemental lord of spirit to kind of fight against them or something like that and get really, really Korra. It would be fantastic.
Oh yeah.
So you're right. It did kind of leave off. Last we heard of it, the boss in Brackenhide was like, "No, I will come back and eat your faces" or something. Mm-hmm. And then that's the last we ever heard of it. Except in the epilogue of Dragonflight, there's a bit where we are hanging out with one of the gnolls, and he's like, "Yeah, that decayed person, she'll be back." I'm a bit worried about it. I was like, never happened. But I wouldn't be surprised if that is something that does come back in a big way.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
Next one from Coffee Koala. Thank you so much. Howdy from Scotland. Longtime fan. Your weekly vids got me playing retail for the first time since DBC. Aw.
Nice.
I'm
and also sorry.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Love hearing the story of how you two met. Aw. Thanks, Koala. That's really kind. Love that.
Oh, that's really cool. Oh, thank you for the kind words. And that's how you know the game is good right now, because we like the vast majority of our comments were very kind and nice.
Yeah.
Doesn't always happen.
No. Cornell Crits. Thank you for the super chat. Rock and Roll Racers coming to WoW, basically.
I'd be so into that
this week. Finally housing Tally after so many years. Finally is right. Haha. Yes, exactly.
So the first Blizzard game I ever played was Lost Vikings. Mm-hmm. They were called Silicon on Synapse back in those days. I played it at the Future Entertainment Show in 1992, I think, but I might be wrong about that, in Earl's Court in London. Wow. So that's the first one I ever played. But the first Blizzard game I ever really, really got into in a big way was Rock and Roll Racing on the Super Nintendo, on the SNES. I know people don't like it when I call it the SNES, but that's what everyone called it. And I got into that game so much, and I've played the shit out of that game, and it is so good. And it's you know, obviously I know loads about Blizzard and their approach and everything now, and yeah, you can go back and play Rock and Roll Racing and it still has that Blizzard special sauce of it just handles so well, and it feels so good to press the buttons and to move that car around the track in exactly the same way that WoW feels like when you're pressing buttons, and like it's got that thing that Blizzard are so good at. Yeah, and that's always been the thing, like they just know how to make pressing buttons feel really good, which I think is a really good thing for video games.
I agree.
But it's quite funny to me when I think back of like, yeah, that's one of the first games that I just really know-lifed and really got into. And it's funny that later on they became Blizzard and made WoW, right? Yeah.
Next one up from 100% Not Thunders. Good to see you, Not Thunders. Thank you so much. Hello, friends. Thank you for WoW Podcast Direct. You're welcome. Never fails to feel a bit of pride when we see you guys in official WoW stuff. Aww. Us too.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Yeah. Question: how much should I tame my expectations for playable Harrenir this X pack?
No, don't tame them. They're definitely coming.
You think so?
Yeah,
when?
yeah.
When?
They're coming.
When?
Then come later on.
When?
No, come later on.
That's a bit wishy-washy for you.
Well, yeah, okay, fine. They'll come in 11.2.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Or 11.0.7. 11.1.7. They'll come in 11.1.7. You'll see. Print
There
it.
you have it.
No, don't temper
There
the
you have your
expectations. Like, if anything, hype yourself up to like a rabid degree. Like, genuinely, make it the first thing you think of when you get out of bed in the morning. Make it the last thing you think of before you go to sleep. Playable Harrenir. Like, will it into happening. We've done it before.
Next one. Thanks, Thunders. Next one from Timothy Gizmo. Thank you for the super chat. Second chance for a Tinkerer class?
Yes! Yes, please. Let's make it happen.
so.
Like, obviously.
Very important question. Will it be Tinker or Tinkerer?
It will be Tinkerer, but it should be Tinker.
I know. Yeah. Like, which way are they going to go here?
Well, but I always just called it Tinker, right? I was always like, hey, Tinkers.
Yeah.
And the amount of people in comments and stuff that would refer to it
like,
as Tinkerer.
"Excuse me,
I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this is
Tinkerer."
like Shaman
It is
Shaman all
someone
over again.
Who's Tinker?
I would
Who's a
adapt
Tinkerer?
my speech patterns to fit. I would do that. Yeah, exactly.
Tinker. Anyway, Josh asks, yet again, thank you, Tally. Check out Wowhead for the theory on the icon map
Josh
at
is
the
on
end
it
and
this
color
episode.
change of the timeline.
A
Thank you,
million
Josh.
percent,
Really
yeah.
appreciate
So,
it.
like I say, I think the color change is Legion, and I think the icon is Player House.
Yeah.
And I will sit sternly, stubbornly on this hill until someone moves me off.
Yeah. Josh S. Following up yet again, our first player house, Broken Isles, Dalaran.
It would seem like a weird place to put it. Just putting that out there. That's
Okay,
the thing.
that one feels like a bit of a stretch to me.
But I'd take it. I
Yeah,
mean,
you know what?
put me up in
exactly.
the misty,
Exactly.
like the mountains where all the moose live. I'd go for it. Yeah,
The moose.
the Mises.
Avi Dobkin, thank you so much for your super chat as well. Personally, I'm hoping Nightfall is a fully realized 8.3. The whole old world gets voided out instead of just 2 zones.
Nice. Yeah, I could be down
Like,
with that.
super
I could do
void.
it. I could do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm cautiously optimistic for the for that. I don't know. I remain to be convinced on that. I guess I got a lot more to be excited about first, but the thing that's most exciting about that is the clear indication that it's the return of Void stuff.
Yeah.
Which presumably means that happens at the end of the raid. Like at the end of the raid, some big shit is going to go down, and the Void is going to come back big timey, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah. I guess that's going to happen. So that's the main exciting thing I have about it. I don't want to be a stick in the mud, but I remain to be convinced about the horrific visions because they're not something I used to particularly love. But hey, the solo content in War Within has been terrific so far. So prove me wrong, Blizz. You've done it plenty. Even though I'm always right. How does that work? It's very strange.
I'm going to have to work that one out in
But
my head.
you were talking about some new merch for our store on the stream yesterday, where a T-shirt that says Taliesin was right on the front and Taliesin was wrong on the back.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like you can flip it around. But then someone was like, you should just put Taliesin is wrong on the inside of the t-shirt. So no one will-
Close to the heart, because you know the truth.
Oh my gosh, hold on. We just got another super chat in right in the final minutes. Justin Cowart, thank you so much. Greetings from Kansas City. Which one of you plays cello? And if they did another super orchestra, would you play the cello in the section? They totally needed more cellos and basses on that stage. Okay, one. I agree completely. Not enough basses and cellos. Agreed. They needed a lot more.
You play a tiny cello.
I don't play. I play this. I play a violin-sized cello. So not a cello per se, but I would love.
You
to
play a
take part.
chincello.
Yeah.
Chincello, chincello, chin chin cherry.
And shout out to Wondermain who has found the timestamp of us in the Warcraft
Oh,
Direct, so
sweet.
We'll have to find that and pull that up sometime. And with that, we have.
Wait, I just want to say Justin Cowart's like literal user icon is someone playing a cello as well. So
Heck yeah.
it's, like, very
Awesome.
fitting.
That is awesome.
We have a cello lover in chat, which is something
I mean, I would love to do more. Like we did. I've played violin in one of our very, very early videos. Played some like tavern music.
Yeah, I was playing my squeeze box.
Yeah, like we
playing
like
my Melodian,
very like I'll have to find that one.
We did a
That's
bit of
that's an ancient one.
Grizzly Hills, didn't we?
Yeah, we did some Grizzly Hills together. So yeah, maybe it's time to resurrect the old instruments and see what happens.
But when Annie and Penny start playing instruments, 100% they're going for nice portable little instruments
Yeah,
like
no
violins
basses,
and
no
not those
drums.
cello motherfuckers. Definitely not the drums.
Yeah,
Tuba,
our son is
kiss my ass. No
joining the
way.
percussion section. Absolutely not. French horn at a stretch. Nothing
That's a
bigger
big
than
stretch. No fucking way. No, like basically something they can plug in and practice on headphones would be quite good as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Anyway, guys, thank you. This has been great. Really
Thank
nice
you for
to
a
hang out.
terrific episode.
Yeah, glad I got to hang out to the very end of the episode today.
Yeah.
It's been a joy and a pleasure.
Thank you to everyone that watched us record it live and contributed to the chat. Thank you to all the super chats. And thank you also to everyone watching the VOD later on. And if I manage to get this up on podcasting listening sites, which seems unlikely these days, to be honest.
Oh, Tally, we've had so many questions about that.
Okay,
There are
I will.
loads of
I
people
will.
who want
Maybe it can be your job. I don't want to do it. It's boring.
Okay.
I'll do it. I'll put it up there.
I'll do the boring.
I'll do it. I'll put it up there.
Yes, please.
Maybe I'll do it on the train to London. I'll, get it sorted. But thank you so much. Please, give us some ideas in the comments if you are watching the VOD of this. What kind of form you would like player housing to take, and maybe check out our video on it where we give our ideas and what other MMO we would basically rip off and base it on from 8 months ago.
Yeah,
it's our
pretty
pinned
much.
video on our YouTube channel at the moment.
Much.
I even changed the title from player housing in the World Soul Saga to player housing in the in Midnight.
No.
Yeah, just to surf that algo, man, because we got kids to feed.
done.
So
Well done.
go check it out if you want our views on that. And thank you for joining us on the stream last night. If you came to watch the direct with us, thank you for joining us today. Please come and join us on the weekly reset, and we'll talk about it all again, but this time scripted and with jokes.
Cannot wait.
It'll be brilliant. From
be
me,
funny.
Taliesin,
And me, Evitel.
until next time,
Bye, guys.
cheerio.